Just got sound check the other headset that we're using, or is everything good?
On a Wednesday morning, day 3, SEC Media Days. Today's coverage brought to you by They've been with us for a while. Ryan Banks with Bring Your Personal Finance to Rivalry. We'll talk more about that, but today is a big day here in Dallas. And if you're close to having a big day, you might as well just put all the big days in one day. We got Alabama and Texas all converging in one day.
Yeah, and then we're definitely doing Kalen DeBoer is leading us off, and then keeps our keys and closing it down on day 3 of SEC Media Days 2024 live from the Omni Hotel in Dallas, Texas. And we're going to start it fast. We've already had a guest on Radio Row. You've heard him on our show many times. And he looks very dapper this morning. He's been one of the most well-dressed here this week. And you've heard him in the main media room asking great questions. He's the film guy, the lead for Dogs Daily, part of Fan Nation, covering the Georgia Bulldogs, but also great with the SEC, and that is Brooks Austin. What's up, brother?
Hey, man, I'm just chilling. If I was going to win anything this week, that stress ain't that bad.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, yesterday, let's go back to yesterday. Very smart yesterday. Just kind of smooth for most of the day.
Yeah, I felt like it was normally when you come out here, I feel like you've been studying philosopher for like a year. And it gives me some type of, I call them, I grew up in Southern Baptist Church. I call them things that make sense.
Yeah.
He'll do that every once in a while. I didn't get any of those yesterday. I felt like this shit was a little
comfortable in his own
yeah,
skins,
very,
right?
very much so. The assume nothing thing felt nice. Kind of cool. And that's what I'm talking about. He's always bringing us something. You know, last year I think it was not too much. There 2 years. He always gives me one of those. I didn't like the outcome. Nonetheless, still a Kirby Smart speech.
Yeah, no doubt. We heard from Carson Beck too, and I saw the soundbite where he said basically as soon as the clock hit zeros in the SEC championship game, he knew he was coming back because he waited a while to decide that. It's probably a good move because it was a quarterback-heavy draft, and he's got a chance to be the first pick if he has the kind of year he's capable of having. And Georgia's got the kind of team I think they do.
You know, Drew, I think this might be the new part for the sports for quarterbacks. I think there's a new NFL standard with the evaluation of that position where you almost have to have 25 plus college starts to stay in the last several examples of guys who didn't have 25 starts in the NFL are guys like Mac Jones, guys like Trey Lance, guys like Mitch Trubisky.
He's the biggest one, yeah.
These things really didn't work out in the league, right? And for one way or the other, right? Maybe they're limited physically, maybe they can't process, whatever it is, that allotment of time in college will allow for that to be exposed. A lot of these NFL teams kind of believe. So this is a very similar thing we saw with, like, even Brock Vandergriff in Georgia. I feel like Brock would have not transferred had he not, run out of eligibility. He's going to start for 2 years.
Right.
But had he said he's not going to leave, I don't think no matter what happens this year, he goes 4,000 yards and has a great year. I would imagine he still comes back for another year.
Or if Beck had left.
Yeah, or if Beck had left, he'd have been at Georgia and remained there as a starter for trying to help. But I really do think, people say it's a combination of NIL, you make money while you're in college. Yeah, but I don't think quarterbacks are really hurting prior. You know what I mean? So I think this the return to college might be something a lot more advantageous.
He's got an offensive line that will protect him very well. Very well.
Huge
offensive line.
A little bit, I know they got to place a really good center, but they've recruited well, they've stacked, and you've always talked about that. And so, and then I think the difference too is one of the things that it just echoes in my head that you told us during the season, even previewing the SEC championship game, is Georgia doesn't have a dude at running back. They got guys, they ain't got a dude that's going to be a top 3 round pick. Just the buzz around here, it sounds like they believe ATN is going to change that.
Drew, they didn't have one drafted last year.
That's crazy,
No one.
Not a running back drafted.
Yeah.
And they really haven't had anybody like DeAndre Swift that was, since him that was, all right, and here's how I've explained it all week. And at this point, I feel like these are regurgitated takes, but it is what it is. Okay. At Georgia, running backs are going to get 4 yards. It's provided by the offensive line. It's there.
Yeah.
But at 4 yards, the safety comes down, and he's yours. That's you. That first free defender as a running back is your job. And the last couple of years, safety meets you at 4 yards. It's been a 6-yard gain. Yeah. Well, since DeAndre Swift has left, the ability to make that safety miss and now take you 60, that ain't really been there. Etienne's got that. He's always had that. And I think his ability to make a defender miss and still have that top end speed is something that Georgia has really lacked in the offense for several years now. The ability to score explosively in college football now,
gotta have it.
I mean, it's vital. It's so hard to think you're going to just chop it up 12 plays every single time without a false start or without a sack or without an untimed incompletion to get yourself behind or off schedule. So being able to score explosively in college football nowadays is the key. Kirby talked about it last year. Lane actually gave him this stat, Kiffin out there at Ole Miss. The ability and the explosive play margin actually is more indicative of wins and losses than even turnover ratio now in college football. That turnover ratio has been the blue blood. It's been what we always, if you turn the ball over, you can't win. If you turn the ball over, well, you can turn the ball over if you score explosively and you limit explosives defensively because you're scoring quickly and easily.
Well, is this Georgia defense explosive? I mean, it's funny. We've sat down, we've talked about Georgia football. Offense.
Yeah.
And defense is usually the calling card.
Yeah, last year they felt very melancholy on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah.
They finished top 10 in overall, points per game allowed. But the issue last year, you're talking about explosives. They call them havoc plays at Georgia on the defensive side of the football, right? We're talking about sacks, TFLs, interception, and pass deflections. Those are plays that cause havoc for the offense and get them off schedule and off time. They weren't great in having plays last year. Now, you could say loss to Jalen Carter, and then 2 years ago it was loss to Devontae Wyatt and Jordan Davis. And I think they felt the real toll of all of that attrition on that defensive line last year. Guys like Warren Brinson on the interior. Mike Hill was here this week. People will talk about him. He's going outside this year. He going to be all the way outside at Jack on obvious pass rushing downs. Who is going to win from guard to guard is the question I have on first, second, and third down. And that's a role that guys like Warren Brinson are going to have to take back up this year. Nazir Stackhouse return. Those are two guys that had draftable NFL grades and returned to college football for another year. So super excited to see what they can ultimately do. They certainly have to develop and get better, though.
Well, we're talking to Brooks Austin, Dogs Daily Fan Nation. Before we switch over and get some of your thoughts on Alabama, I know you study their tape a lot, and I'm fascinated to see what Jalen Milro does in this offense. Is Georgia, in your mind, the best team going in? We talked to Gary Stokin yesterday, and they're super excited about Clemson and Georgia. But because Alabama and Georgia are playing at the end of the month, that Clemson Georgia game is not getting as much hype as I would have thought.
Yeah, the only way I can see that game being close is if Clemson turns it into a rock fight.
Yeah.
Very similar to what they did in 2021. I don't know if that's going to be what happens. If Georgia comes out and scores 35 points, that's 35-10 football game. I think I don't foresee Clemson's offensive line being able to hold up against Georgia's front six. And you talking about, is it Georgia the best team? I think on paper, Georgia and Ohio State are the two best teams in college football,
right.
But more so now than ever, I think on paper don't really mean jack. Okay, because you want to talk about on paper. Look at the schedule on paper for Georgia this year. It's top 25 opponents, I should say, and 3 top 5 opponents on the schedule. All 3 on the road. It's going to be a year for Georgia.
Well, talk about Alabama. Saban's retired now. It's a new era. DeBoer did a great job at Washington, but we haven't seen him coach a game at Alabama. He inherited a really good roster. It's going to be a different approach on both sides of the ball. I know you've studied Alabama extensively under Saban. I know you've taken a look at Washington under DeBoer because you'd love to grind film. Your thoughts on year one for him?
Yeah, we'll start with Womack on the defensive side of football. From my understanding, he's a 4-2-5 nickel football coach. I mean, he's not an odd front guy. But he's very multiple up front. So you're going to do a little bit more defensively, whereas like the last decade, I feel like Alabama and Georgia have both been mint front defenses, big nose tackle, a couple of defensive ends and a jack, right?
Right.
I think Will Anderson, I think the Turner cat, I think those guys playing jack. I think you're more going to transition into more two traditional defensive ends that stand in a 5 technique with, a nose tackle, a shade technique, and a 3. And then the rest of it's standard-based defense. Everyone's in a nickel-based defense, by the way.
Right.
Everyone plays nickel, so it's not going to look that much different. I think he is a little bit different, what he's doing coverage-wise. I think they teach things slightly different than what Saban and the Saban tree does. So that will feel different. But I don't think the common fan is going to even notice that, to be honest with you. And then offensively, I look at DeBoer, and I think DeBoer, and I said this last year when I studied him at Washington, his offense is the best combination of this is the trickeration we get away with in college, but also we run pro stuff here. Like
right.
we run NFL translatable stuff here as well. So I think it's very much so a combination of what pro style offenses do with their passing attack with a combination of what, even Tennessee does right now. That spread choice, where we're going to put everybody outside the numbers. We're going to stack folks so you can't really do any type of press. You also can't really run man because we're bunched up all the time. All of that stuff was provided in DeBoer's system out there at Washington, but in a pro-style set. So, if, for example, Tennessee's going to spread you out, put you in bunch outside the numbers. Well, DeBoer might get you in bunch by starting 3-by-1 in a standard set and then taking the slot receiver on the 3-receiver side, motioning over, and as soon as the ball snapped, now he's stacked in alignment right behind that single receiver side. So now that corner over there's really got no idea, am I on the point man? Am I on the back man? Also, it's happening on the snap. Something called cheat motion, right?
Yeah.
We're running in motion as the ball is snapped. We're cheating, but we're not. It's built in the rules. We're cheat motion. This is something that the San Francisco 49ers really brought to professional football. Miami Dolphins really accelerated it and vamped it up with Tyreek Hill. Something that DeBoer did last year a lot to defy man coverage with Roman Dunze, where guys would try to slide safety help over there. Well, good luck. We're changing the picture right as the ball is snapped. It's a simple way of playing fast as an offense, or at least creating the facade that we are doing so, right? If I am moving something right before the snap defensively, your brain is not already now processing right as the ball is snapped. So you're processing pre-snap while the snap is happening and changing your thoughts post-snap. It's a new way of creating complexities.
So where would you put? A lot of people are like, because Nick Saban left, Kalen DeBoer has got to be the guy. And it's like the talk is, it's almost like he's forgotten how to coach football because Alabama's going to take a step back. They're going to be back, Kalen DeBoer. But people forget that he is coming off a national championship appearance, that the guy can coach football.
Yeah.
And now you're giving him weapons of unlimited resources.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't understand why some people out there on the national level are just saying, well, they're, going to take a step back.
It's a regionalized opinion, and I'm not going to lie to you. I did it too. We're the SEC, right? Yeah. they do that one. Oh, well, let's see if he can do it here. Buddy, he boxed good football coaches last year with lesser than rosters. Now, granted, people say it was Washington. He didn't recruit well. I mean, he did have 6 pros on that roster. You know what I mean? There were 2 defensive players drafted. There were 4 offensive players drafted. More than that, heck, there's
10. He had 10 draft picks.
10. Okay, yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot of NFL football players on that team. However, this is by far the best roster he's ever had.
Yes.
And he's lined it up with dudes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's lined it up across the sideline from Dan Lanning, where Dan Lanning's got a top 5 roster. He's lined it up across the line of scrimmage and across the sideline from Steve Sarkisian. And Steve Sarkisian's whole defensive staff's over there like, what do we do today, boys? We don't got nothing for this guy. All right. So the idea that a football coach who was out here dragging folks at Fresno, was out here dragging folks at Washington, is all of a sudden going to get Alabama's roster and not know what to do with it. That to me is a little bit, blindsided by the idea that this guy is just a West Coast coach or something like that.
What I want to ask you about, though, is Milro. He came a long way because I had a lot of doubts about him.
Alabama fans hate me.
Yeah. Well,
here we go.
Last year, he got off to a really slow start. I was doubting him, and I thought he came a long way, and he had a solid year, but he made a great decision. That you talked about Beck's decision to come back. He definitely needed to come back.
Oh, yeah.
And now he could have transferred. He decided to learn under DeBoer. We saw what he did with Penix. Just your thoughts on what he can do with Milro, or is Milro a guy that can be a dude, or just give me your take.
I certainly think he can be a dude. I thought he was the stat line on him is always going to lie. I kind of have to watch him on the film and only the film. I don't want to look at what the stats come out, because last year, at least in that offensive system, I felt like some of his best games were like 17 of 28. He didn't turn the ball over. He used his legs. Like the Georgia game, I thought he played phenomenally.
Absolutely.
Believe it or not.
Especially second half.
I thought he was the difference maker in that football game. But I don't even have to talk about him. We just got done talking about the head coach. Before Michael Penix ran 4.52, did you think Michael Penix was some kind of super freak athlete, or did you think he was a pocket passer?
More of a pocket.
Great down the field threat, accurate with the ball, great decision maker. All right. That's him. Certainly not a dual threat. Certainly not, being out here designing in the run game for the guy or whatever. DeBoer has an opportunity to go to the portal. Okay. Right before he took the Alabama job. Who's he take?
Austin Mack.
No. He took Will Rogers out of the portal.
Well, that's true. Before he left. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, he was at Washington.
But either way, Austin Mack applies to this as well.
Yeah.
Austin Mack's tall as these damn buildings out here. Okay. And he ain't no freak athlete.
Right.
He's a pocket passer. Will Rogers, the definition of a pocket passer. So every which way, when DeBoer has had an option to tell me what he wants,
he goes pocket.
It damn sure ain't Kalen or Milro. Right. It ain't this. You know what I mean? It ain't this thoroughbred of he could be our best running back and he's a deep passer.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm telling you, he hasn't chose this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now he's coming here, and this is what he's been given, and this is what he's going to go do. So he's a great football coach. He's a great mind, and I've always said about great offensive minds, they do not do what they do. They do what the offense is best to do, right? They do what their ingredients are going to create the best meal with, and that's what he's going to do. I will imagine this is not going to be foreign to him, the idea that designing a quarterback run game for a guy who's this great and this offensively talented. I would imagine it's not going to be that much different. However, it ain't his preference is all I'm pointing out.
Right.
You know, and I think
Makes
that's obvious.
So then what do you see this Alabama offense then becoming this year?
I think it's going to be built off of quarterback run game and play action pass downfield. I think that's what he's good at. I think even when you listen to DeBoer talk today, you'll hear about my quarterback's got great legs. My quarterback's a great deep ball passer. Well, if I'm great with my legs as a quarterback and I'm great with my downfield accuracy, that's how I'm going to design an offense off of play action. And by the way, I don't know how Alabama fans felt about Tommy Rees. I felt like Tommy Rees did an insane job last year, completely redesigning that offense.
I thought he did a really
creating an
solid job
entire
too.
new identity mid-damn season.
Yeah, exactly.
Mid-damn season,
Boom, yeah.
he did that. So I was impressed by Tommy last year, despite the fact that I'm sure a lot of people gave him hell.
Well, last few minutes with Brooks Austin, we appreciate his time on Radio Row here in Dallas. You said preference. Your preference is who are you picking in this league? I'm staying with the status quo. I'm staying with Georgia and Alabama. A lot of my colleagues are not, but go ahead. What do you got?
I think there are two tiers. There's we feel really good about them.
Yep.
And then there's like four teams where it's like, hey, you got a shot this year. Your window might be tight, except for Alabama in this group. But, I think Georgia and Texas, in my mind, on a roster and on paper, they have kind of cemented themselves as like that first upper tier. And then slightly underneath that are teams in my mind like Alabama that might have some questions. There's a lot of roster turnover there, obviously. Alabama, teams like, Ole Miss, I think are right there where, a lot of roster turnover. He turned over 45% of his roster last year, brought in a bunch of SEC transfers, Walter Nolan obviously being the most important there. And then, I think LSU might be in this mix as well, because they're LSU. Then I'm obviously forgetting somebody, but I think those are kind of the run of the mill answers here.
If Texas does what everybody thinks they're going to do, because they're going to be picked probably in that championship game, boy, oh boy, I don't know if we could come back here. The state would be even bigger.
Hey, man, we're going to see some circus today. We're going to see some circus today. These Texas Longhorn beat reporters are going to be out here in droves. Yeah, I mean, dude.
They're already,
I appreciate the excitement about it, but my pet peeve this week has been, Georgia coach. What you think about Oklahoma's roster? You think they're ready for the SEC? Buddy, I haven't played Oklahoma in 5 years. I'm not scheduled to play them for 2. I don't know. Great job. I think Brent's a good dude.
Yeah.
and we go on with the next question. I'm like, God dang. And I about stood up yesterday and said, hey, Brent, what do you think about Bama's roster, Bubba? Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're ready, I guess. I'm excited for it.
Or it's
going to make a lot more fun football.
Or the whole horns down penalty talk.
Oh,
you have to keep on having to hear.
That's just soft.
And there's obviously, I got to look around. Obviously, a little brother complex with Oklahoma.
Yes.
Very obvious. Yeah. All they want to tell you is how much better they are than Texas. And by the way, Blake, if you're watching this, I am way better than you, big bro. Way better than you.
Great way to end it there, Brooks. We appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming down. We look forward to seeing you in the main media room. We know you're going to be on top of it today.
Man, y'all jokers got me up at 6:30. Appreciate you.
No caffeine either.
Yeah, there you go. No coffee.
All right, Brooks Austin with us. Let's get our first break in. It's Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone live from the Omni Hotel in Dallas, Texas.
You're listening to SEC Media Days on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling sluggish? Gentlemen, Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health is here to help you. Braden is here. Braden, you've got the answers.
Thanks, Scott. Whether it's low T, erectile dysfunction, weight loss, or a number of other things, we have the solution for them.
It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call today at
256-850-1570.
You can find them online.
GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Hey! What man wouldn't like to have tests done in a man cave?
That's right. Come in for your free test and consultation, walk into a world-class staff, a comfortable, relaxed environment, and we got your results in about 20 minutes with appointments less than an hour.
And the big game is always on the TV. It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call.
256-850-1570.
You can find them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com/Huntsville/The Zone.
AL cert number 21014.
As the summertime approaches, and if you are in the business for a new air conditioning unit, only one place to call, Talon Heating and Air. Thomas from Talon Heating and Air with us. Thomas, this is the time.
That's right. People are needing HVAC, air conditioner repairs done left and right, and we're here to serve.
Talk about the services that Talon Heating and Air can provide.
So Talon Heating and Air, we can come out, we can fix your unit, we can replace your unit, or we can just do maintenance on your unit. We cover all aspects of anything to do with your house and HVAC, from mini splits to gas pack.
In the name of free, Talon Heating and Air offering several free things.
That's right. We're offering a free second opinion. We always offer that year round. And then we're also offering a free service call with a repair during regular hours. So
okay, it's Talon Heating and Air. Give them a call at
256-503-4490.
You can also find them online at
that's talenthvac.com.
Give Talon Heating and Air a call today.
There's power in caring when it is put into action. Each year, our bankers serve on nonprofit boards, support our local educators, and volunteer with our hometown food bank. I'm Bobby Humphrey, Vice President of Business Development for Bryan Bank, and community service is just not a line item in our mission statement. It's who we are. Because after all, Alabama is our home too. That kind of commitment.
Oh, okay. There we go. Well, that break went by pretty fast. I told you we were further away from. I needed to.
Well, you know, we got the headset on right in time, so there we go.
I thought we'd at least have music still playing. I didn't think we would have dead air. Welcome back to Bryant Bank's coverage of Day 3 of the SEC Media Days. Family is at the heart of what matters most, and for Bryant Bank, they are family. If you are dreaming of a new home in 2024, their Bryant Bank mortgage team will take care of you. It takes a team of dedicated bankers to deliver the unbeatable customer service that they perform. Bryant Bank proudly sponsoring our Day 3 coverage of SEC Media Days. Let's run down what we have coming up today. Kalen DeBoer will get things started at 9:05. You'll be able to hear Kalen DeBoer's entire press conference this morning beginning at 9:05. Jeff Lebby, Mississippi State, 10:35. Billy Napier, the Florida Gators, 12:50. And then Steve Sarkisian will wrap things up at 2:20. So you've got Alabama, Mississippi State, Florida, and Texas. And you've got two teams that should be finishing in the top half of the league
And we've talked a lot about Texas. We've talked a lot about Alabama. But then you've also got two teams, at least one, Mississippi State, probably will be picked to finish near the bottom of the league. Not the bottom, but near the bottom. And then you have Florida, who's an enigma. They could finish anywhere in the middle. They could finish anywhere closer to the bottom. They could finish in – it all depends how they navigate that tough schedule.
Their schedule is so brutal. If they finish near the middle, then Billy Napier will be coach of the year. Because what Billy Napier is right now is he's 2 years ago, he's Eli Drinkwitz. He's Elijah Drinkwitz because after 2 years, Coach Drink was a little bit on the hot seat because they had finished around 500 both times and, were struggling defensively. But then he brings in Blake Baker. They get it going last year. They win double-digit games. They're considered a dark horse SEC championship game contender and college football playoff participant. So, and even Coach Drink kind of referenced that yesterday, Scott, is that the expectations are what they are. He kind of joked about Dennis Doofus. I mean, Dennis died and said, Dennis is about the only one that had me on the hot seat. But if you don't live up to expectations, it's part of the business. But then you can quickly turn things around, and he did. And now their expectations are high. If Billy Napier can reach a bowl game this year, if they can win 7-8 games, he'll be in a solid place. But if they finish 500 or worse, if they don't win a bowl game, I mean, there's some people that wonder if by the postseason, if Billy will be the head coach, if they are going to move on. So there is some pressure on Billy Napier. But again, I will preface this by saying, 4 years ago, they were in the SEC championship game playing Alabama to the bitter end. But you never felt like, that Darth Vader could ever figure out how to recruit and do, and get over the hump for Florida. And
right.
So I just don't think, I think people don't understand how poorly constructed that roster was when Billy Napier got there. Sure, you had a great athlete and player in Anthony Richardson. It's kind of like Kalen DeBoer inheriting Jalen Milro,
right?
Because Richardson had all the talent in the world, had bright moments in Napier's first season, but it wasn't consistent, and they didn't finish like they wanted to. But he ends up being the third pick in the draft. So, but they need to do a lot of recruiting, and the transfer portal has changed things because you can bring in guys and flip, like Brooks Austin was just telling us, Ole Miss flipping 45% of their roster.
Yeah, but again, it also changes. I think, the life expectancy of a head coach.
That's what I was going to say. The pressure amps up because they don't give you, okay, we're going to wait till your first recruiting class is juniors and seniors in year 3 or 4. They want you to start showing tangible progress by year 2.
Well, because the NIL collectives now I guarantee you, they will put pressure on the athletic departments, because if the NIL collectives is dishing out, let's just say, I don't know, let's just throw a number out there, $30 million, you would expect that coach to win because you are giving them the money. And you go to the athletic department and say, look, as a collective, we've given this team X amount of dollars, millions of dollars to put players on the field. It's not producing. We want to change.
Yeah.
And the school's got to answer, that line in the sand will be drawn.
Yeah. And then Florida, since 1990, that's been their zenith. When Steve Spurrier came to town, they won a national championship, the first ever in 96. Then, they made the Ron Zook mistake, but they brought in Urban Meyer and won 2 more. So they are capable, when things get aligned, of being a national championship contender. But see, the problem is, if you look at Gator football, while it's been good for many, many years and not had losing seasons, they've only been elite really from 1990 through 2008. And the rest of it, before and after, has been some struggle and good, not great. And so they're trying to get aligned again. Scott Strickland, he's going to start feeling some heat as AD too.
Yeah, no, you're right.
If Billy Napier doesn't turn this around. So there's a lot of pressure at Florida right now.
All right, 7:31 here on a Wednesday morning. our SEC Media Day coverage, again brought to you by Bryant Bank. We are here at the Omni Hotel in downtown Dallas, where the heat is on. Literally, it is 7:30 in the morning.
What is it
and it's
right
already
now?
80 degrees.
Well, that's that. Hey.
It was 101 yesterday when we left here around 7 o'clock.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and then on Monday night, I was about to go to sleep, and there was 90 degrees. So it's crazy.
Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer has arrived here.
He is
inside
on
the Omni Hotel. He is starting to make
Radio Row.
Yeah, starting to make his rounds. The Alabama players expected to arrive here momentarily as well. Let's get a break in, shall we? We are live from the Omni Hotel, Dallas, Texas.
You're listening to SEC Media Days on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling sluggish? Gentlemen, Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health is here to help you. Braden is here. Braden, you've got the answers.
Thanks, Scott. Whether it's low T, erectile dysfunction, weight loss, or a number of other things, we have the solution for them.
It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call today at
256-850-1570.
You can find them online.
GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Hey! What man wouldn't like to have tests done in a man cave?
That's right. Come in for your free test and consultation, walk into a world-class staff, a comfortable, relaxed environment, and we got your results in about 20 minutes with appointments less than an hour.
And the big game is always on the TV. It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call.
256-850-1570.
You can find them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com/Huntsville/The Zone.
AL cert number 21014.
As the summertime approaches, and if you are in the business for a new air conditioning unit, only one place to call, Talon Heating and Air. Thomas from Talon Heating and Air with us. Thomas, this is the time.
That's right. People are needing HVAC, air conditioner repairs done left and right, and we're here to serve.
Talk about the services that Talon Heating and Air can provide.
So Talon Heating and Air, we can come out, we can fix your unit, we can replace your unit, or we can just do maintenance on your unit. We cover all aspects of anything to do with your house and HVAC, from mini splits to gas pack.
In the name of free, Talon Heating and Air offering several free things.
That's right. We're offering a free second opinion. We always offer that year round. And then we're also offering a free service call with a repair during regular hours. So
okay, it's Talon Heating and Air. Give them a call at
256-503-4490.
You can also find them online at
talenthvac.com.
Give Talent Heating and Air a call today.
There's power in caring when it is put into action. Each year, our bankers serve on nonprofit boards, support our local educators, and volunteer with our hometown food bank. I'm Bobby Humphrey, Vice President of Business Development for Bryant Bank, and community service is just not a line item in our mission statement. It's who we are. Because after all, Alabama is our home too. That kind of commitment to community might not be what you would expect from a bank, but it's exactly what you can expect from us. Give us a call or stop by one of our 2 offices in the Huntsville area and experience unbeatable service and legendary results.
Bryant Bank Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 2428943, member FDIC.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Trudy Armand. It is Wednesday, day 3 of SEC Media Day coverage here from the Omni Hotel in downtown Dallas. Want to let everybody know, coming up here in a matter of moments, we will have Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer live with us right here along Radio Row. He will join the show here. He's expected to join us here in a couple minutes. So make sure you stay with us as we will have Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer, our first chance to go one-on-one with the new Alabama head coach.
And it's so crazy. I've been in this business since year 10. Year 1, Nick Saban. Now year 10, Kalen DeBoer. This will be the second time on this show that we've been able to be graced by the University of Alabama's head football coach.
Yep.
We're really looking forward to it.
We even put up a sunshade for him, so he didn't have to look into the sun. We spare no expenses.
I got to give Scott and Johnny Boy here, John Abraham, a lot of credit for this quick job they did. Now, we may need John once again to be a human shield, depending on how high the sun gets.
Well, we are ready. I reached up as tall as I could. So we put it up there.
No, you're 6'6". So, I mean, that's why Nick Nurse talked to you.
Yes, he did. He did. If I would have gone to class.
If a head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers.
That's right.
And, of course, coach the world champion Toronto Raptors.
Yes, my one claim to fame. But anyway, again, Alabama making the rounds today. The Alabama players will be by later this morning. We don't know who will stop by, but we're hoping we get a chance to visit with a couple of them as well.
The 3 representatives, Malachi Moore, senior starting safety, Tyler Booker, junior left guard, and, of course, redshirt junior quarterback Jalen Milro. So those will be the 3 that will be making the rounds at Radio Row. So we hope to be able to catch up with them as well. But hoping to be joined in just a couple of minutes by Kalen DeBoer, the head football coach of the University of Alabama, and we're really excited about that because it's so surreal to think about Nick Saban being on the other side of the headset with us now here at the SEC Network. Here live at SEC Media Days with what he's been able to accomplish in his 17 years in Tuscaloosa, 6 national championships, and becoming, I think, the greatest head football coach of all time. But then Kalen DeBoer embracing the challenge of filling the shoes of a guy like Nick Saban is amazing, and getting a chance to pick his brain and to get his thoughts as his first season is only just weeks away. As August 31st, he will have his first game inside Bryant-Denny Stadium against Western Kentucky and the Hilltoppers. So really excited in just a couple of minutes to catch up with Kalen DeBoer.
Actually, they are getting him wrapped up from his interview across the way. And the new Alabama head coach is indeed making his way over here right now. It is the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Kalen DeBoer, sitting down with us here with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond, live from the Omni Hotel in Dallas.
Coach DeBoer, welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on this morning. So how are you guys?
Doing good. A little different from the Pac-12 style of Media Day.
Yeah, there's Radio Rows, but there's a few more in the Radio Row. So
a few more.
And, it's fun. It makes it great, exciting for our game. It's exciting for obviously our program and our conference.
Yeah, and we're excited to see your style of Alabama football. And then we were just talking about how you've embraced this challenge of filling the shoes of Nick Saban, and you brought 3 great representatives with you today, including Jalen Milro. And you're a quarterback developer and whisperer, I like to say, with what you've done at the quarterback spot. And just what your thoughts on your relationship you've been building and the trust with Jalen Milro.
It's been so much fun. And there's that balancing act. It's not just Jalen, it's all the quarterbacks, it's the entire team. But, just obviously with Jalen and his leadership, the way he stepped up from day one, really never wavering, wanting to lead this team, believing in this program, believing in the guys around him, wanting to do something special this year. He's put in the work. He's ready to go. I'm excited to get this thing going here in a couple of weeks.
How have the other quarterbacks kind of helped develop Jalen as well?
Well, I think they're all super talented, which leads to competitiveness. And, as much as they appreciate Jalen's leadership and just how, how he holds everyone accountable, they're doing that same thing to him. And so there's relationships that are building to where they can say what they need to hear, not just what they want to hear or want to say. And so I have a huge appreciation for a team that can be built that way, has that type of culture.
Well, and you mentioned culture too, and I remember being fascinated by how you talked about building your staff, that you like to kind of stack play callers, guys that are capable of moving up. And you moved up Nick Sheridan. Jamarcus Shepard is here. Talk about how you guys work together to build this offense this year at Alabama.
Yeah, I think when you refer to that, that's the goal, that you can do that. But it doesn't mean it necessarily always works out that way. But you try to do the best you can to prepare for the future, knowing that success will be here, and guys will get opportunities. But are you asking more about the staff? Is that
and just how Jamarcus, they're going to help you guys.
Yeah.
They earn that. They have to. Jamarcus has done a great job with the receivers. I've heard all this feedback with your offseason workouts and how they're developing trust. And then Nick Sheridan as well. We've heard Tyler Booker talk about getting calls from Nick, talking about his leadership and the way he's reacted.
Yeah,
you guys are big relationship builders.
Absolutely. And Shep's as good as it gets. Nick, those two are the ones that really came with me and are on the field coaches for us here coming from Washington. And so I have a past history with them. Obviously, Nick and I, this is year 4, 1 year at Indiana, 2 years at Washington, and now here. And then Shep, I tried hiring him back in 2014 back in Eastern Michigan.
Wow.
And he said no. And so he fortunately hasn't said no since. But we have had a great relationship since. And I just have such an appreciation, not just for the energy, and I know that's what everyone feels, but man, the guy's he cares so much. Yeah. And he and Nick Sheridan have a special relationship. It's one you should ask if you get a chance to talk to those guys or just kind of pay attention to more. It goes beyond just the last 2 years at Washington. These guys have known each other. There's the Western Kentucky ties that they both share, in a relationship as great young coaches at the time that they've just continued to grow their relationship. They work so well together.
Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer with us this morning. Talk about the battle that'll be the offensive line competition once fall camp gets underway.
Yeah, I think going into spring ball, probably a little bit of a concern just with especially the depth, and then just trying to figure out who could play where. It's come together, I think, in a nice way. You got your interior guys. I think Parker Brailsford at center, very solid. I'm excited about him again, having him run the show at center. And then the two guards, Jaden Roberts and Booker, just beasts inside. And then I think, the tackle position with Caden Proctor coming back, certainly a guy that can hold his own and do his thing, and I'm excited about. Elijah Pritchett had a great spring ball. He really did. And, at the end of the spring, I was feeling pretty comfortable even with him at the left tackle spot. And so, Wilkin Formby, some others along the way that had really, continued to grow. And I'm excited about the way these guys work. Wilkin, I know, has done anything and everything to make sure he's ready to step on the football field, and they'll all be competing for those spots.
And then tell us a little bit, what should we expect from Kane Womack in this defense?
Yeah, Kane, has always, I think, in my mind, done more with less, and our time together at Indiana, I just felt like he maximized what we had from a talent standpoint. He does a great job taking away the opponent's best concepts, best players, does it within his system, can adjust, has a system that can adjust, just has a great mind for the game, but really can bring people together, whether it's the team or the staff that he has in his defensive staff room. So, he's in the attack at the right times, and, he's going to be a good, smart football coach. And I think most importantly, he and Nick Sheridan have a great relationship, and we'll play team football together.
All right. Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer, kind enough to join us this morning.
Look forward to building the relationship, Coach.
Thank you so much.
Guys, roll Tide.
All right. Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer, kind enough to stop by Radio Row this morning and have a quick, brief conversation, albeit 5 minutes. I mean, that was a great conversation with the head coach.
Well, you can just tell how relatable he is to players and how comfortable he makes you feel. And he's very, focused and knows the kind of football he wants to play. And he's very confident in himself he has a very calm demeanor, but a self-assured one. And he's a guy that I think is very comfortable in his own skin.
Yep.
And you have to be to try to fill these shoes, because Alabama is a fishbowl. But I think he's up for the challenge. He's been working for this for his whole career. He could have stayed at Washington. He could have been a king there. but he wants to try to continue the legacy of Alabama football. Alabama football is the greatest football program historically in history. They've buried Notre Dame. Notre Dame is nothing now. And so when you look at Alabama, and so if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And if you want to be the man, you come to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And so you got to admire Kalen DeBoer for doing this, and looking forward to that opener in August 31st, against Western Kentucky.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, hopefully we'll be joined by some Alabama players here along Radio Row. It's Talking Ball live from day 3 of the SEC Media Days in the Omni Hotel in Dallas.
You're listening to SEC Media Days on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling sluggish? Gentlemen, Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health is here to help you. Braden is here. Braden, you've got the answers.
Thanks, Scott. Whether it's low T, erectile dysfunction, weight loss, or a number of other things, we have the solution for them.
It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call today at
256-850-1570.
You can find them online.
GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Hey! What man wouldn't like to have tests done in a man cave?
That's right. Come in for your free test and consultation. Walk into a world-class staff, a comfortable, relaxed environment, and we got your results in about 20 minutes with appointments less than an hour.
And the big game is always on the TV. It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call.
256-850-1570.
You can find them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com/Huntsville/The Zone.
AL cert number 21014.
As the summertime approaches, and if you are in the business for a new air conditioning unit, only one place to call, Talon Heating and Air. Thomas from Talon Heating and Air with us. Thomas, this is the time.
That's right. People are needing HVAC, air conditioner repairs done left and right, and we're here to serve.
Talk about the services that Talon Heating and Air can provide.
So Talon Heating and Air, we can come out, we can fix your unit, we can replace your unit, or we can just do maintenance on your unit. We cover all aspects of anything to do with your house and HVAC, from mini splits to gas pack.
In the name of free, Talon Heating and Air offering several free things.
That's right. We're offering a free second opinion. We always offer that year round. And then we're also offering a free service call with a repair during regular hours. So
okay, it's Talon Heating and Air. Give them a call at
256-503-4490.
You can also find them online at
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. Just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan's Parkman or at Woody Anderson Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Bob Abraham here for my friend Brian Hammaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating. So you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
So you want your next party to be something you'll remember? Then head on down to Flow Supreme Air to book your next big bash. Birthday, corporate meeting, maybe just a family reunion so you can get your cousin Kyle back into the basketball court so you can beat him at basketball. I have no idea. Flow is fun for all ages looking for high-flying excitement, arcade fun, and tasty snacks to satisfy your hunger. Whether you have 10 friends or 25, Flow is jam-packed with something fun for everyone. Get jumping with Flow off South Parkway and Drake, or head over to flowhuntsville.com to book your next party now.
Flow.
The Huntsville Sports
We got two spots playing. We got Flow. I got a commercial in my ear, and we're back on the air.
In 2023,
this is
enjoy
weird.
events like the CCSA
I
Beach
think we're back
Volleyball
on.
Championships, Hometown Lenders Championship.
The commercial's on our side, they're saying.
Cycling Road.
There we go. We had another button pushed on the Roadcaster. Welcome back in. It's Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We're
Hey, things went smooth with Kalen DeBoer. That's all I can tell you. Okay.
Yes.
We'll take it.
No lightning strikes, no power outages.
Yeah, no region-wide outages.
Nothing hits.
Where I would have to go find some bourbon.
There we go. Now we are all we're off and
hey, but we did full circle our Smokey and the Bandit thing with some Coors Light last night. That was good.
Did you have a Coors Light?
I of course did.
Okay, good.
I had to.
Man, I tell you what was it? RJ's Mexican Grill, and let me tell you what. We talk a lot about food on this show.
Yeah.
What I had last night probably goes down as probably one of the top 10 ribeyes that I have had all time.
Well, I had some hot beef enchiladas. That's all I can tell you. Because as Steve said, my head was looking puffy and I was sweating.
This was, the best way to describe it. It was just like it was heaven in every bite.
Yeah,
with some kind of ranchero cream sauce, some kind of I don't know what was on it. All I know is that I left completely full. The guacamole, the cheese dip, the steak queso, and I'm saying steak queso. There was chunks of steak.
The same kind of steak you ate
queso.
later.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Well, because I'll quote Scott: "If the steak I just ordered is as good as the stuff in this queso, it's going to be epic."
It was epic. So much so that Steve Moulton has now just copied what I order.
Yeah,
and just gone with that.
I'll take what he had.
That's exactly what he said. He goes, I'll do the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's what he said.
Yes. And then we got back to the house yesterday.
And
watched the All-Star game. Just laid in the pool. Watched the All-Star game. Anyway, it has been a remarkable week. It's been a remarkable week here in Dallas, but the mornings have been filled with a lot of conversation, a lot of college football conversation. And yesterday, that included Eli Drinkwitz. It included Kirby Smart. It included Josh Heupel, among others. You, Drew DeArmond, had a chance to ask Eli Drinkwitz a question.
Coach Drinkwitz, Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. Brady Cook won a spirited battle at quarterback. You told us that last year at SEC Media Days. He went on to have, I thought, a really, really solid year. How have you seen him grow since that time, and what is his ceiling this year? And what is a really deep year for quarterbacks in the conference?
Yeah, I think what Brady has done is continually demonstrated a opportunity for us to go out and improve our staff and really, build a cohesive unit with guys. So I'm very excited about those guys, and I'm very excited about what the new look death row defense is going to be with those guys at the forefront.
I don't know why it skipped.
It just skipped. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, he was. He was talking about he doesn't think that there's a ceiling right now for Brady Cook and how much he grew in the conference. It grew as a starter last year, getting a whole year under his belt. Starting for that glitch, guys. We can't help that sometimes with the audio, but again. He was talking about how good Brady Cook can be. Never has a bad day. Even if he breaks up with his girlfriend, he's always leading people. He always is in the building, studying, getting extra work in, and he has a chance to be, one of the best quarterbacks in this league, I think. And if Missouri is going to be a dark horse contender for the national championship and get in the college football playoff or the SEC title, I mean, hey. Brady Cook is going to have to lead the way. He's got Luther Burden, he's got Theo Wees, he's got Cooper, he's got a lot of weapons around him. So he's a guy that can really do some damage. And this Missouri team is going to be a very dangerous one. They're coming to Tuscaloosa as well. That's an under the radar big time game for Alabama as Missouri is coming off of that 10-win season and that bowl win over the Suckeyes.
Do you think Brady Cook will be one of the two preseason quarterbacks on the list for the award voting for?
I mean, potentially.
All SEC.
I don't think so, though. I think a lot of that's going to be Carson Beck. Carson Beck's going to get a lot of the preseason pub, is maybe the best player in the league, no doubt about it. But like I said, though, it's a very deep, quarterback. Jackson Dart's going to get a lot of pub for Ole Miss because they're supposed to be really good. But Brady will be there. Jalen Milro, But there's a lot of really, really good players in this conference at the QB position. So it's going to be as deep. Nico Iamaleava is only going to be in his first year, but he's another very talented player. Yeah. But as far as skins on the wall, he'll be up there. No doubt. But see, Jalen Milro has a full year under his belt too. You got the Jalen Milros of the world. You got as we said, Carson Beck. Those guys have played a lot of football, won a lot of games.
Yes.
And so I think it'll be and Jackson Dart. It wouldn't surprise me if it's Beck and Dart, to be honest with you. But there's a lot of really good players in this conference. There's no doubt about it. It's at the
Brady
quarterback
Cook does
position.
have the advantage of throwing it to Luther Burden, who could be a big time force.
No doubt.
Could be, I say. Could be.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget, we in Texas, they're going to be,
How can we
Quinny
forget about Texas?
Well, we got to remember they're in the SEC. Dadgummit.
Come on, just give me it one time.
What? The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of overrated.
There we go. Just one time today. We just needed it one time.
I'll tell you who's not overrated, David Cloninger, and he's going to join us at the top of the next hour.
He is. Thank you to Brian Bank for making day 3 of SEC Media Days possible here from the Omni Hotel in Dallas. Hour 2 getting ready to start right after this. Indeed, it is hour 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Our day 3 coverage here from SEC Media Days at the Omni Hotel in Dallas, Texas, brought to you by Bryant Bank. Bryant Bank is family. They are at the heart of what matters, and for everybody, that is Bryant Bank, and they are with us today, providing us our coverage here at SEC Media Days in the Omni Hotel in Dallas, Texas. Hour 1, in case you missed it, we had Kalen DeBoer live here with us. We got to talk a lot of Alabama football there. Hopefully, coming up in hour number 2, we will be joined by some of the contingent of the Alabama players that are making the rounds as well. So stay with us throughout the morning as we may have some of that for you.
Yeah, but the next thing we're going to do is catch up and talk some South Carolina with one of my favorite guys. I've had him on the show, featured him for the last decade. We always get some FaceTime with him at SEC Media Days. It's like a rite of passage. We always have him on, and that's David Cloninger, the Posting Courier, covering the Gamecocks. David, man, I hope you've had a good week so far. It's great to see you again. How are you, bud?
Not a problem. I mean, SEC Media Day is usually a very well-run event. My problem is being from Columbia, South Carolina. Why am I in Dallas again? This noted hub of SEC football. Any place that I got to go to get on a plane is automatically going to be real high on my crap list. So,
well, next year you can drive.
Next year you're in Atlanta, and so it's a 3-hour drive, 3-hour back from Columbia.
And the year after that, we expect to be in Nashville. So I mean, it'll be
Nashville's at least a drive, and I can do it. And last year I went up there, I got to go to the Opry too. So.
There you go.
Wow.
Well, I mean, we've heard from Shane Beamer, and they didn't have a good end of the year last year. The year before, they had a ton of momentum going into it. They didn't end the way they wanted. They ended up 5-7, and yet I don't get the sense, and I think it's also because South Carolina's administration is patient. They understand where they are. They have great fans. He's not on the hot seat, is he?
Not one bit. Not one bit. Shane Beamer is not on the hot seat. You can take that to the bank. Now, it does go into the fact of, and you always throw out that, well, unless it's just 0-12 or 1-11, some kind of disaster. Right. But if they have another losing season this year, going into next year, which would be year 5, you'd say, okay, now you really need to have a winning year here, because even in South Carolina, where, let's just call it what it is, they're not a traditional football power. It's not unreasonable to say you guys need to win more than you lose almost every year. Win more than you lose, and every 4 or 5 years you beat those guys that live in the upstate of South Carolina, and that's going to be a good season. And then you build on top of that. So, no, he's not on the hot seat this year, but they all know that, it was not a good year last year. They were sitting there at 2-6, and to their credit, they won their next 3, and they had Clemson right where they wanted them. They gave up 3 field goals in that game.
Yeah.
And then Clemson scored its lone touchdown on a fluke play, and they lost 16-9. So it's just, one of those things, and you got to go out and try to make it better.
Good news for South Carolina is 3 of their first 4 are at home. Bad news is the one home is against LSU. You can win. You got Old Dominion, and you have Akron as 2 of those first 4 home games. But LSU is sandwiched in there, and Kentucky is sandwiched in there in week 2 with a road trip to Lexington.
Well, Scott, I don't think it's hyperbole to say that week 2, that game at Kentucky really is the season. Okay. If you go up there and win, and they've won 2 straight over Kentucky, 2 years ago was on the road, then I think it's like, okay, you've got the season set out right in front of you. I mean, LSU at home at noon is certainly not unwinnable. No. It'll be tough, but it's very winnable, and you'd be 2-0. The fans would be really hyped. But if you lose that game and you say you're sitting there at 1-1 and think, man, where's 5 other wins going to come from?
Ooh, I'm looking at the back half of the schedule now.
Yeah, they of course, everybody, still people in Columbia are complaining like, man, I can't believe they didn't give us Georgia, Florida, or Tennessee this year. That's such tradition. I said, tradition of what? Losing?
Yeah.
But, I mean, you don't get an easy break anytime in this league, but they replaced those 3 teams with Ole Miss, Alabama, and Oklahoma, and Bama and Oklahoma are on the road in back-to-back weeks. I mean, if I'm a USC fan, I'm looking at it and thanking my lucky stars like, well, still got Vanderbilt on there. I mean, you got that game, so that's good. But it's going to be very tough. But, again, getting back to the original point, you beat Kentucky in week 2, and you say, okay, you feel can get good. It there. Yeah, all you got to do is get 4 more wins, and you know that Akron and Wofford are still on the schedule, and Vandy. That should be 3 of them right there. So you mess around and steal another one, and you go to a bowl game, which at South Carolina is what you reasonably need to do every single year.
Well, and tell us about Lenora Sellers. He redshirted. I keep hearing that that the coaching staff and Coach Beamer are really, really excited about this cat. He's a big dude. I mean, you've seen him physically. I haven't, but I was just looking at the rod. I was like, whoa, 6'3", 242. He's a Florence, South Carolina native. They brought in Ashford to push him a little bit, I think, and to have some depth, because that's the key in the SEC now with this 15, 16, 17 games you could play. You got to have depth. You got to have somebody you're confident in to come in if a guy gets injured. But I know he hasn't officially announced it, I don't guess, but is it Sellers the guy?
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, they've been saying, like, well, you know, we always have competition in our program, and he's got to keep competing. I'm like, yeah, okay, guys, I know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Shane did say Linares is the starter coming out of spring practice. Linares Sellers will start barring any kind of, you know, major catastrophic situation. But yeah, got to play a little bit last year. Didn't have to burn his red shirt. But he's explosive out there. I can't say he had a great career in high school just because he broke his leg as a junior and didn't get to play. But his senior year was one of the best senior years in the history of South Carolina high school football, which South Carolina's churned out more than its share of guys who've gone on to great college careers and in the NFL. So he's a guy that can make plays with his feet. He's got a big old rocket arm. And it's just going to be that looking at what they had with Spencer Rattler and Xavier Legette last year, you don't have that anymore, but you're going to presumably have a better offensive line, a running back, because they had no running game last year.
That's the thing we talked about last year, the running back roster.
They had nothing. And then and you say, okay, you don't have any known wide receivers, and that is a problem. But as I said with Xavier Legette going into last year, someone going to end up leading this team in catches and receptions.
Right.
Just who's it going to be?
So what do you try to get out of Raheem Sanders? I mean,
everything you can.
Right. I mean,
2 years ago, he was one of the best in the league.
He was electrifying. He gets hurt at Arkansas. Not anywhere close last year to what we saw the year before. I mean, if you're Shane Beamer, I mean, you're just trying to milk anything you can.
Absolutely. And they have no doubt that he's going to be healthy. He's basically reshaped his body. He was in here a couple of days ago and said our assistant trainer, Chip Morton, basically called it rocket science for how they literally just broke down everything they need to do. And, you know, hearing from some Arkansas folks that maybe he did play a little too heavy last year. Yeah. Maybe that led to the injuries, maybe not. But he shaved 6% of his body fat. Ooh. He looks sculpted. He's doing good. The only problem, fellas, he has yet to practice one single snap at South Carolina. Didn't practice all spring. And he's been out there doing some workouts, but hasn't really been able to get out there. So you look at that and say that's a little concerning.
Right.
But as long as he gets out there and practice and can do it, you're fine. And then hopefully you don't have to hand him the ball 25 times against Old Dominion. Hopefully you can say, Rocket, we're going to give it to you 10 times. We're going to let the other guys take it. But they've got to have something, just because last year they had nothing running the ball. And it's frankly remarkable. Spencer Rattler had the year he did with no running game and no protection. I mean, the line was full of talent, but they all got hurt. They had 20 offensive linemen that could play last year. 11 of them got hurt at some point, and 8 of them for the season. You just can't last like that.
Before we get to this year, Spencer Rattler leaves South Carolina. Well, what legacy did he leave there?
I mean, terrific. You always want to have a guy who plays for 3 or 4 years, but for him to transfer in after the notoriety and the hype, the talent that he showed at Oklahoma, for him to pick South Carolina was just remarkable in itself. And his first year, even he would admit it wasn't his best. He played awesome at the end of the year, but he wasn't that good at the beginning, so he was throwing too many interceptions. Last year, in a situation where anybody should have folded, that guy kept getting back up, and he would wait for the play to develop. And most oftentimes he would, and then he'd get creamed. I mean, he got sacked 41 times last year.
Wow.
And he got hit a number of times, but he kept getting back up. So he left as one of the best. The numbers escape me, but he only played 2 years, and he still ended up well into the top 10 of career passing yards.
Well, we talked to him last year at SEC Media Days, and he was very, very I thought he was very settled, and he had realized who he was. He was very, very impressive, and you could tell that he was very comfortable in his own skin, comfortable at South Carolina, and he competed hard. But before we go to defense, I've got to ask about Nick Harbor, because I know you get asked about him all the time. He's a freakazoid, Olympic-type athlete. Is he a guy that could do a Legette? Like, all of a sudden, Legette comes out of nowhere, becomes a first-round pick. You said somebody's going to have to lead the team in catches and touchdowns. Is he capable of it?
Capable, yes. He's just got to go out there and do it. And let's just be honest here, fellas. The reason that he didn't make more of an impact last year was because he couldn't really catch the ball that well.
You got to catch the football.
His hands were not good. That's a very undervalued trait of being a wide receiver. So he's been working on that. Obviously, he didn't get to work as much as he perhaps would have or should have because he was training for the Olympics.
That's right.
And, he ended up getting right up there to where he could have gone to the trials. But after talk, they're like, I'm not going to go up there because I really don't have a chance to win. So he's been using that time to get more in shape, add a little bit more bulk, and work on his hands. He's just got to get out there and do it just because, again, wide receiver wasn't his natural position in high school. He played D-end and tight end, and he's really learning a new spot. But in terms of sheer athleticism, if they can turn that big rascal loose, just if you're just going to run a go route every time, you got to account for it because it'll be the one time you don't, Lenore seemed like, oh, that's pitch and catch, touchdown. So
I think some Auburn fans have forgotten, but I look at the roster and like, oh my gosh, I forgot Robbie Ashford is there. Where does Robbie Ashford fit into the game plan?
Well, you got to have quality backup, and that's what he has. Not only has he been there in the wars, as he said, fellas, I started my first SEC game at Georgia. When they're coming off two straight national championships. I know, I know how to be in there, and nothing against him. There was a coaching change, and he came in, and Hugh Freeze brought another transfer and said, I want this guy to play. Sorry, Rob. And, Rob said, okay. So this will be his third school. He's saying all the right things. Yes, he is competing, but he also knows what his role is. Help Lenoris out, help him learn. And they got all the quarterbacks together in the room in spring practice. Said, all right, look, guys, this is it. He's the first one. And the rest of you guys are competing. And number one, you're still going to have to compete too, but that's what it's going to be. So all reports have been positive. Robbie's a fantastic young man. And again, you hope that nothing happens, but if it does, you got somebody to come in there.
Okay, we're talking to David Cloninger, posting Curry, now switch to defense. I just got the sense from Coach Beamer, I think they're going to take a jump. They've got a lot of experience back, a lot of old guys that decided to come back to South Carolina, especially in the front seven, David.
On paper, it's the oldest, most veteran, most experienced, most talented defense that Shane's had in 4 years. And it's a big reason why, let's just call it, the defense in the first 2 months last year was awful. Right. It was absolutely awful. They made a pretty significant switch going to a 3-3-5 alignment the past month, and they played very well. So, of course, the question was, why didn't you go to it sooner?
Right.
But the main thing was, is Clayton White going to hold on to his job? He did. They felt continuity was important. And at no time was change approached. Shane brought him in for his end-of-season meeting and said, what are you going to do to make this better? And he said, we're going to be creative. I've got my guys back. And so you look at that and say, not only do you have it and everybody knows what they're doing, everybody likes this new formation, which will probably be the base, but it may go 50-50 between what else they run. But the main thing is, not only do you guys got to go do it every game, especially early, you might have to carry the offense a little bit. Yeah. Just saying, let everybody get their feet wet. Old Dominion shouldn't be too much of a problem, but at Kentucky, that might be where they need to go to the redshirt freshman Lenore, say, look, just get us one. Just get us one. As Debo Williams said, man, I want donuts this year. I want shutouts because if they don't score, they're not going to win. I'm like, okay, well, you've got guys who have all been there. There's a lot of experience on that defense. So they didn't have a very good year last year, and I think they're hungry to prove that they can do it this year.
You mentioned Debo Williams. It's going to be a big force.
Absolutely. And you could tell he's already put on some more muscle in his upper body. Guy had well over 100 tackles last year and 67 solo tackles, which you say, man, he was kind of hung out to dry, honestly, because the defensive line was there. But they knew that they needed to upgrade their run defense and rushing the passer because they haven't done it in a lot of 3 years. And I'll just go ahead and tell you, fellas, Dylan Stewart, freshman on the end, you're going to be calling his name at the end of the year.
Yeah, I believe he was a 5-star recruit.
That guy, and I don't say this lightly because I know how good he was. We're from the same hometown, but the comparisons to Jadeveon Clowney are not inaccurate.
Well, there you go. Talking about maybe the greatest pass rusher in South Carolina history. So, and a guy that's had a long NFL career and was the number one recruit in the country when Steve Spurrier brought him in during his great run in Columbia. The last few minutes with David Cloninger. David, Coach Beamer reminded us of this, and our owner and co-host of our evening show took snaps from him. But very interesting with this new rule with analysts being able to coach on the field. Talk about Mike Shula coming in, and what's his role going to be? Is he going to be working with the QBs?
Yeah, I mean, mostly he's just that offensive analyst, but obviously Mike was a quarterback. He coached quarterbacks. He coached offense. He's been around, and he's just a guy that can add something. He's not looking to reclaim his career. He's not looking to move up the ladder, but he's a guy that's been there in both levels of football, NFL and college. So I was kind of wondering, I wonder how coaches will like that analysts can just offer instruction, because you know how it is, too many cooks spoil the broth. Yes. But as they said, well, maybe if you have one of those teams with an army of assistants and analysts like Florida does, you could get that way. But here they feel very confident about guys like that. I mean, they had Freddie Kitchens in a couple years ago doing the same role. So maybe it's just a thing of hey, we got to get ex-Alabama guys in here. But if you're going to do it, that's not a bad place to start.
Right. Well, it's not. And what is the ceiling for this team? I mean, you talked about Coach Beamer. They'd like to see them get back to a postseason, have a winning record. The schedule on the back end is loaded up. But when you look at it, what do you think?
I think if everything just broke absolutely perfect, and there will be some games that you just look at right now and say they're just not going to win that. Everything breaks perfect, I could see 9-3. But if you look at it, say in South Carolina's history and probably the more realistic, 7-5, 6-6, which gets you to a bowl game, and then crazy things can happen in a bowl game. So you look at that and say, all right, but it all comes down to that Kentucky game. Because, again, LSU at home is not unwinnable. But there are a few games on there, notably Ole Miss at home, at Bama, at Oklahoma, at Clemson, and you think, and then – oh, Missouri, you got that game at home. I'm like, Missouri's beat you 4 years in a row.
Missouri.
And Eli Drinkwitz has beat you 5 years in a row. He also beat South Carolina when he was at Appalachian State.
Great point.
So, and they've only beat Texas A&M once in their history in the league. But if you look at that and say, that's a home game. The last time they beat them was at home. Maybe things fall right. So that ceiling, I would say, is probably around 9-3. But if you lose at Kentucky, you might be looking at a 4-5 win season, and that is not good.
Well, and you've been here all week covering the league as well. Who do you like in this new expanded race?
So many great teams, and you just look at how many teams kind of got the good end of the schedule and the bad end. So I look at it and say Texas, Tennessee, and Missouri got really good teams, and they've got the schedule to accommodate them battling it out. Of course, you do look at Georgia, probably the most talented team in the league, but their schedule is pretty brutal. And I was thinking, I wouldn't be surprised to see them go 6-2, even though they've gone 8-0 for what seems like forever. So those four teams, I think, are going to battle it out to take that ticket to Atlanta. And then down at the bottom, you probably have your Vandy and Arkansas and Mississippi State, and everybody else kind of in there together.
Are you used to not seeing divisions? Are you used to not seeing that?
It's weird because when South Carolina came in the league, that's when they created divisions. So it's always been that way.
Right.
But now it's like, well, I mean, again, South Carolina's rule of thinking like, look, guys, this just makes it easier for you to get to the playoff. And if you ever get to the playoff and you never say, well, we never won an SEC championship, okay. I mean, that's fine.
We made the playoffs.
Well, great stuff, David. You do an amazing job covering South Carolina athletics. Let everybody know how to follow you, man.
Yeah, I'm on DCPNC at X or Twitter, whatever now, but just check us out. And, hey, just remember, as they say in Columbia, football season goes bad, only 15 more weeks till Dawn Staley's next season kicks off. And that's the best thing going right now.
Women's college basketball.
Look, they took my Iowa team out, and I knew going into that game we didn't stand a chance. Even with they're just so good.
They were the most talented team, but I walked into that game thinking they're better, but I don't know if they'll be allowed to win because it's hard to win 8-on-5.
Yeah.
But and once Caitlin got her 18 to first, like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
South Carolina is a complete team.
Absolutely.
They are every
year.
Thank
you, David. Appreciate it.
Guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, it's SEC Media Days, Day 3 coverage brought to you by Bryant Bank here at the Omni Hotel in downtown Dallas, courtesy of Bryant Bank. Let's get a break in, shall we? More talking ball on the other side. Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. Welcome back into the show. We just need to get Mr. Griffith a chair here as well. Ryan Fowler, kind enough to sit down with us, and Mike Griffith as well. We're gonna pull a drive move. We're gonna have all four people here. We're just gonna do a little roundtable discussion here at SEC Media Days. Of course, Day 3 coverage brought to you by Bryant Bank, the great folks at Bryant Bank helping us make today's coverage possible here from the Omni Hotel in downtown Dallas. Hour number 1, in case you missed it, we had Kalen DeBoer with us live here, so I imagine you will be able to hear that interview on the Tom Abraham Show, as well as the drive coming up later today in case you missed it. We'll have that. But we've been talking Alabama. We've been talking Georgia. We've been talking SEC football.
Yes, we have. And we're going to be joined now by Ryan Fowler of Tide 109 and Mike Griffith of Dog Nation. So we're going to have a little bit of a group discussion here. Ryan, welcome, my friend. And, of course, it's always great to catch up with Mike Griffith as well. Good to have you, Mike. Mike will be covering now the best coach in the Southeastern Conference with Nick Saban retiring. And so they are the man. They're going to be picked to win this league and win the national championship, in my opinion. But we'll see about when the votes come in. But that's certainly who I'm going to vote for as the top team in the league. But, Ryan, how you doing, bud?
I'm good. Are we I was just curious. Forget about football, because in this state, I've heard from a couple of UT Longhorn fans that swimming and diving is very important.
It is.
I was hoping that maybe somebody could educate me on how important.
Shots fired from Alabama. This wasn't supposed to happen.
Mike, I mean, all I'm saying is I've heard about swimming and diving all week, championships, and how important it is. I'm out of the loop. Will you guys teach me what I need to know about swimming?
Well, they did get Bob Bowman, the Arizona State head coach, who was at Michigan, who was Michael Phelps' head coach. He was Michael Phelps'
encyclopedia of knowledge over here.
Yeah,
he's the Olympic sport expert.
I do.
Anyway, but I appreciate you guys.
His sister was an All-American.
We can talk football, but I've got to study up on my swimming and diving. So I will. I'll get it done.
I do stuff for the NCAA swimming and diving, so I have a little cheat code thing. So,
well, Ryan, you heard from Kalen DeBoer as well. What's up? What did you think?
Oh, I thought he was relaxed. I thought he had a good comment. Yeah. Listen, he plays the media, and I say play, I think it's authentic. I mean, I think he's wanting to build relationships, unlike, Coach Saban. I mean, I walked up to him 2 days ago. He was walking through Radio Row by himself. I walked up to him and had to introduce myself. I covered him for 17 years. He didn't know me from Adam's House Cat. I mean, I'm telling you, I could have been the guy sweeping the floor over here.
Who's Adam?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, he had no clue. But I said, yeah, I covered you 17 years, and I sit on the front row. Like I'm not a back row press conference guy. So Drew and I normally at the front row is where we sat in both the game and the Monday press conference and then the Wednesday press conference. So anyway, but Kalen DeBoer was great. I thought he really, there's the thing about him doing so many media availabilities. The questions are limited. Like, when Nick Saban would only do one, when you get here, it's like there's a ton of things that you got to know.
Yeah.
But there's also stuff that you just don't want to repeat. And you try to go a different angle. And I did. I mean, I talked about his college coach because I wanted to hear more about Bob Young, because I've been told that it's the most influential male person in his life. And the influence that he's been able to make, I think it's something that needs to be talked about. We all heard about Don James through Coach Saban.
Right.
And now we get a chance to learn who Bob Young is. I mean, we don't know him now, but we're learning. Yeah. Obviously, he's passed away. It'd be nice to, go back and interview him, but he passed away a couple of years ago. And both him and Ron Grubb and Chuck Morrell went up there and spoke at the funeral, did a 3-person eulogy there for their head football coach.
Well, and I wanted to get Mike Griffith's take too. Mike, how is this going to change? They're going to meet in September. Is this going to change the Alabama-Georgia rivalry at all?
Wow, that's of course. I mean, it all changes. There's only one Nick Saban. The relationship that he had with Kirby. I mean, this is going to be different, and not necessarily in a bad way. I mean, I'm kind of with Ryan. I mean, it's nice. Kalen DeBoer is very fresh. He's certainly an intelligent guy. He's a very positive guy. It's a different tone than we're accustomed to. But look, the bottom line is it's Alabama, and there's going to be expectations. And listen, Alabama won before Nick Saban. There's a lot of great coaches that have won at Alabama, and I'm not going to sell Kalen DeBoer short. That said, I don't believe that Kalen DeBoer has the talent disparity in his favor like Nick Saban did. I think we've got to be realistic about this. I mean, Alabama has a lot of star power, to be sure.
Yeah.
But it's not 2011 or 2012, and it's not even 2020. It's a different team, and a lot is going to be on Jalen Milro.
True.
A lot is going to be on the
I agree.
championship depth. You got to stay healthy. Look, 2021 shades of, can you keep your guys healthy? NASCAR fans, can you keep your fenders on the car and be there for the last lap? I just think it's hard to say championship or bust in today's era for any coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and you said it right there at the end, any coach. And I think our eyes are still adjusting to what college football is going to look like. What's it going to take to get in the 12-team playoff? What's it going to take to get left out? Is it a certain loss metric that we're looking at? That to me is there's so much change in the world of college football. And you mentioned depth. I think we're going to be in a situation where a great team is going to get in the playoffs, and one of their superstars is going to go down. Yeah. And then it's like, how much did you spend the backups? Now we know Coach Saban did nothing with backups. I mean, his backups were like, because he didn't want to use it recruiting, right? Now, I don't think you can do that. You better start getting your guys ready because of the longer season. We're going to get to the playoffs. We saw it last year in the NFL. How many of those quarterbacks got knocked out? That's why you're seeing a point of emphasis to me of getting significant backup quarterbacks ready to go.
Yeah. Georgia was here yesterday. Kirby Smart seemed really relaxed.
Oh, I thought he was very comfortable in his skin now.
Very relaxed a little bit. We talk about the depth and we talk about the roster. He's got a little bit of everything there.
Well, there's no point in being keyed up. I mean, you got to go out there and play the games.
Right.
Clemson is not the Clemson that they played in 2021. But listen, I'm a Dabo Swinney guy. And I know there's a lot of people in Alabama that aren't, but I have a lot of confidence that Dabo Swinney is a very good coach. I just don't know if Clemson has the means to secure the players. And he's gotten beat up a little bit for not taking kids out of the portal, but I don't know that they could outbid anyone. And I really don't know if they were better than what he had. I think Clemson's going to be enough of a challenge to find out a little bit about Georgia. I think the trip to Lexington, Kentucky, they face a former quarterback, Brock Vandagriff, that knows their offense well. They face Jamon Dumas-Johnson, that knows their defense well. And they catch Kentucky at the start of the year when they're healthy. Kentucky usually gets a little weaker because they don't have the depth. That's a dangerous game. Then you have the bye week, and then you have all the pressure in the world to beat Alabama, because if not, now win, right? So Kirby knows what's ahead. There's no point in sweating it right now. He's very efficient with his time and his energies, and right now he needs to worry about his football team and making sure that Carson Beck can be that guy to make those plays, because, guys, last year he didn't. Jalen Milro did. And I know Georgia fans get upset when I say that Milro outplayed Carson Beck.
Right.
They point to the final statistics, but I point to the key plays. And Jalen Milro made them, and Jalen Milro did not beat his team, and Carson Beck made mistakes and did not make the sort of plays he needed to make to lift his team over Alabama.
Very true. And Mike, but I will say this too. I think when you look at Georgia's football team, I think with the ATN, the addition of running back, they, for the first time last year, they didn't really have a dude like at running back and a pro. They've done a great job of developing players there. ETN, and as you even mentioned it earlier in the conversation, that Kirby has not been the most aggressive in the portal, but I think that's going to be a key addition right there. I know they don't, and I'm going to freely admit something else. I mean, I've been outspoken about Alabama's injuries that cost them the 21 championship.
Sure.
Look, man, I understand it would have been much tougher and maybe not even a win for Bama if McConkey and of course, Brock Bowers had been healthy, because they were there, but they weren't themselves, and Alabama took advantage of that.
For sure, and you're right about Etienne. I do think he's the X factor. You lose the guys like Brock Bowers that you can give the ball to on a sweep. You can line him in the backfield. You can throw short. You can throw long. It's like Tebow told me one time. That tight end screen is supposed to go for about 12 or 15 yards. That's a guy that could take it 85.
Yeah.
He really was, and I know there's a lot of Ozzie Newsome fans out there, but I really believe Brock Bowers' challenge as Ozzie is maybe the greatest tight end in college football history. I really think he was an X factor. Etienne is going to be that guy. He's going to be that move guy. So, yeah, he's a tailback, but not in the conventional sense. I want you guys to think about Derrick Henry and Kenyon Drake. And in no way do I compare Rod Robinson, their 240-pounder, to Derrick Henry. He's incomparable. But I think Etienne's a better version of Kenyon Drake, and I think they're going to use him a great deal. I think he's going to be Carson's bailout guy.
Yeah.
You can throw it downfield to him. He can run between the tackles. He can get the edge. And, Billy Napier, bless his heart, he brought the guy with him from Louisiana and started at him. That will ultimately probably cost him his job, not starting Trevor Etienne last year and losing him to Georgia.
there's going to be a lot of people circling that Alabama-Georgia game in Tuscaloosa. Does it mean anything more than just a regular season game?
Oh, gosh. Are you kidding me? I mean, Georgia, Kirby Smart's done a lot of great things, and they've won 2 national titles in the last 3 years, and it sounds great until you say Alabama's won 3 of the last 4 SEC championships, right?
Right.
And it is a grudge match. Make no mistake about it. And people are, Alabama's not a real – the heck, they're not. How many times have they played since 2017? And toss a coin. Those were some classic matchups.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Give Alabama credit for making the plays. Give Nick Saban credit. Give Georgia credit for 2021. I mean, that to me has been the best game in college football since 2017 because there's Alabama fans would agree. I mean, they've won almost all of them, but Georgia has to win that game. Kirby has to win that game. I mean, Kirby's done everything and now Saban's gone. You're never going to conquer the king, but the kingdom is still there.
Sure
and now
is.
it's Kalen DeBoer. And if Kalen DeBoer can come in and the Tide can maintain that magic, I think a lot of Georgia fans are really going to start looking a little bit more sideways and say, are we ever going to take over the league?
Okay, let me pack this in. Okay, to see if I can get this question just a little bit. Okay, September the 28th. Okay, do you think the pressure is on Georgia?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so let's say if Alabama happens to find a way to win that game. Not saying they will. They're an underdog in Bryant-Denny Stadium. But let's say if they do. I mean, what will your work be like? I mean, what were you trying to manage? The messages, the Twitter. I mean,
you'll be on Feinbaum, sure.
I've seen this act,
definitely.
guys. I've seen this act before.
Yeah,
in 2020.
Yeah,
and it was you got to win the rest of your games and get another shot at them. You know, and if the SEC, well, I can't say the SEC did anything strange with the schedule, but they did something strange with the schedule in 2020. Let's face it, it was somehow Florida dodged playing. Even though they were supposed to. Anyway,
right.
This story becomes Georgia's got to win out and get another shot at Alabama. That it's simple as that. All the focus goes to Texas. Beating the Longhorns. I mean, I was there in Bryant-Denny. I still can't believe Texas won that game. I swear Quinn Ewers pitched it for, we saw the completion percentages, right?
Yeah.
Over 15 yards, he was like 54%. And that night he's Nolan Ryan striking out everybody, firing the ball, darts downfield. It was like Texas night. Georgia is going to have to play in the SEC championship game, and they're going to have to win it in order for this to be a successful season in Athens.
Wow.
Great stuff. And what about you, Ryan?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Alabama?
So he says Georgia has to win that to be successful. What does Kalen DeBoer have to do then to be successful?
Well, I think when you look at it, he's got to be able to get to Jalen Milro to be able to play a step up from where he was at last year. If you give me the same, then I think they probably have about the same type of season. They win some games. Maybe they're there at the end, but they're not going to be the one hoisting up the trophy over Atlanta. I think it's key. When Jalen Milro's coming here, because if you look at that offensive line, they've got it. I think they've upgraded in running backs from where they were at last year.
I agree.
I think wide receivers are about equal. I don't think they're any less. I don't think they're any
Depends
more.
on Ryan Williams, bro.
It does. And
we haven't seen him yet.
He's a high school senior. And I asked him about Ryan Williams. I said, what is it that tells you that he's ready to play and make a contribution this year? And he said it's just his level of confidence, but it's his level. He said he's a very mature person at his age. So that was one of the things that he said that really allows him to separate. It's all about that defensive side of the football. I mean, you've literally got 2 positions, and that's the conversation.
All right. We've got to get a break in here. Big thank you,
gentlemen.
Yes,
Appreciate
Ryan Fowler, Mike Griffith for sitting down here and taking a little time with us. Appreciate it, guys.
Yes,
and Mike,
great
thank you for
roundtable, man. Great to have you back, Mike.
Thank you so
awesome.
much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, let's get a break in here. Ryan Fowler, Mike Griffith, kind enough to join us along Radio Row. Brent Zwarneman from the Houston Chronicle coming up on the flip side. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
Embark on a flavorful journey at the Brewers Cooperative. Located within the vibrant community hub of Stovehouse in Huntsville, our brewery isn't just about crafting exceptional beers. It's a destination where culinary delights and local brews harmonize. Whether you're seeking a laid-back lunch or a lively dinner with friends, our diverse menu has something to please every palate. With a commitment to quality and a passion for innovation, we invite you to savor the unique flavors of Huntsville's craft beer scene at the Brewers Cooperative. Call 256-678-7036. The Brewers Cooperative.
It's freezer season at Owen Home Appliance Center. So if rising temps have that freezer on its last leg, check out the name brand frost-free upright and chest freezers. Best of all, Owen Home Appliance has them in stock and ready to go or have delivered. Don't let all that high-dollar food go to waste. Go to Owen Home Appliance Center and get that new freezer. And while supplies last, get a $50 gift card towards the purchase of Wagyu beef when you purchase a freezer. Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's in the name.
Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by Bryant Bank. We are proud to be Alabama's bank of the community and for the community. Online at BryantBank.com.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, the Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. And day 3 of SEC Media Days, of course, brought to you by our very good friends, Bryant Bank. You hear them during the high school football season with our Bryant Bank Team of the Week. They are helping us make sure we are here for SEC Media Days. And the one good thing about this is we talk to a lot of people during the football season, but we talk to them on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. The good thing about SEC Media Days is we finally get to see those people in real life. They do exist.
Well, I met this gentleman several years ago here. And then 3 years ago, he broke the story. One of the reasons we are where we are is because of his reporting.
Yes, thank you for making us come to Dallas.
Yeah, with his home base as Oklahoma and Texas are now in the SEC. He covers Texas A&M. You've heard him on our airwaves. Brent Zwerneman is here on Radio Row to talk some Aggies. How you doing, Brent?
Good. And this, to y'all's point, this is a much easier trip for going back to that Texas-Oklahoma deal.
Yeah.
And people were giving Greg Sankey a hard time. Oh, it finally moved west. And he goes, yeah, the conference has moved west. And so the SEC Media Days is in a westernmost outpost right now. And so it was about 2.5. I'm based in College Station. I'm one of those last remaining bureaus, one of the last people standing on that front. I'm a college bureau in College Station. Representing Houston Chronicle, San Antonio Express News. So it's about 2.5 hours. I shouldn't admit this on the air, but I made it in 2 before.
There you go. Well, it's all right. We did it in
Tokyo Drift, who you met a minute ago, Steve Moulton. He drives like that. So
I know Steve very well because he carries the SEC teleconferences, which is awesome.
He's Mr. Teleconference.
There you go.
Does it feel like 3 years? Does it feel like 3 years since we had the news that Texas and Oklahoma were coming to the league?
That's a good way to look at it. It doesn't. It's been a blur because everything has happened so fast. But if y'all remember going back then, even then, Commissioner Sankey was saying, well, it's probably be 2025 and everything. And this got accelerated. I actually thought it might happen as soon as 23, going back to my experience of covering A&M and Missouri to the SEC when it became such an awkward situation in the Big 12 for those schools. All that got accelerated.
Yeah.
It wasn't a couple of years forward, it was a year. So in a way it's been a blur, but here we are in terms of time travel and personally, you know, we have 3 young kids and everything, so everything seems like a blur on that front. So next thing you know, we're sitting in Dallas for SEC Media Days, and Texas and Oklahoma are here. It's pretty wild.
And he does a great job breaking stories, and he had some great info this morning because we've heard all these crazy rumors. He can now put to bed something about Texas A&M in the Big Ten. Go ahead, bro.
I let it simmer for a while because I really thought it was going to go away, but instead of going away, and I guess in this age of social media and some annoyed Aggies is the way I put it in the story, it wouldn't go away in terms of talking about Texas A&M, mad that Texas is coming into the league and A&M is no longer the only school from the state of Texas, was going to go to the Big Ten. And it's simmered. And some of the higher ups at A&M have kind of let it simmer. And finally, I addressed it in a column and said, no, that's not happening. Even though there are still some annoyed Aggies, they realize they have a very good thing in the SEC, and they really don't want to mess with it. And I go back to I'm an old Southwest Conference guy and so forth, and it just makes so much more sense geographically for Texas A&M to be in the SEC and Texas as well, as opposed to the Big Ten, where you're just crossing a river to join a conference as opposed to flying over states.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I finally addressed that in a column, and it's getting quite a response. You know.
Well, Texas A&M, since we are talking about the Aggies, let's stay there. Mike Elko comes in first year, takes over for a Jimbo Fisher program. I mean, Texas A&M backed up the Brinks truck to get Jimbo Fisher, didn't get the results that they wanted, and now you bring in Mike Elko.
I think it's a great hire.
Yeah,
it's a solid hire for sure.
Seems to be a different feeling. Same expectations, but a different feeling around the head coach.
It's funny because I've attended, one of the things I really enjoy are these coaches' nights. I know a lot of people don't, but when fans start asking questions and the coach loosens up a little bit and so forth, and there's a lot of back and forth. But one of the things I've heard from fans in the off season is that they're like, okay, we've heard what Mike Elko is saying about he's going to bring championships to A&M. They heard that from Jimbo Fisher, so there's kind of a wait and see mode. Right. What I would say, though, going back to what you said, Drew, is that it's a solid hire. When Mike Elko was with Jimbo Fisher, that defense was strong. Yeah, it was 34 and 14 over those first 3 years. Without him, they were a 500 team. I mean, you could see the difference in the discipline, and not just on the defense, but in the overall program. So I do think it's a solid hire. You know, what that means in these first couple of years, I don't know, but I do think if they stick with him that they'll have positive
results. He did a good job at Duke. Okay, I watched his teams play for him. And you know he didn't have the material that he's going to have in College Station.
Yeah, in a very short time, whether they're like 16-9 over a couple seasons, really good first year. The previous 2 years, something like 5 and 18.
And if Riley Leonard doesn't get hurt last year, I'm just telling you.
They're right in that contention. And that's another thing about the Aggies, speaking of this season. Connor Wegman's health is still very much in question. Right. Mike Elko said, hey, he'll be ready to go. I also think Marcel Reed is going to be right there in the mix for the starting competition. I think Colin Klein, the new offensive coordinator, really likes what Marcel Reed brings to the table. That's something to keep an eye on as well. I really don't think the job is just Connor Wegman's 100%, especially since he's recovering from still a broken ankle and the idea that was a little bit of a troublesome injury that's going to take a lot longer than just a few months to heal from.
We get Alabama-Auburn every year. We get Alabama-Tennessee. Two completely different rivalries. You know, there's a love-hate and more hate in the Alabama-Tennessee. It's the in-state Alabama-Auburn. It's the Iron Bowl. Help us understand this Texas A&M rivalry.
I can't wait for the game. I think it's going to be juiced.
Just help us understand that a little bit.
I don't mean to bring it down here a little bit, but my dad passed last year. But when the story broke in 2021, the first thing my dad said, who grew up in Dime Box, Texas, right between Austin and College Station, he said, you mean I get to see this game again? That's how much it meant to Texans, you know. And it was my favorite 3 hours of the entire year. Texas versus Texas A&M in football. And when it went away because they were angry at each other, first the Aggies said anytime, anywhere, and Longhorn said, no, you left us. Then the Longhorn said, let's go ahead and play it. We could probably use that game. And the Aggies like, no, we're good in the SEC. So now they have to. They don't have any choice, which is great for the state of Texas. They're separated, as I've written, by 100 prairie miles between these two flagship universities. And in that past decade, you know, it's so nice that it's finally going to be settled on the field because, you know, I said the rivalry lived in living rooms and recruiting and things like that, but they couldn't point to anything and say, hey, here's what happened last year. And of course, the Longhorns have had bragging rights for the past 12 years. So A&M very much is
ready
in
for
favor.
this
Yeah,
one.
and also a part of trying to pacify A&M with Longhorns coming into the league was that the first game back would be at Kyle Field, even though the last game was at Kyle Field as well. So that was part of the deal of saying, hey, we'll give you the first game. But it is something I'm so looking forward to. And I'm a fifth generation Texan, and every Texan who grew up on that rivalry. And it's funny because even kids who haven't seen the game, college age kids now who don't remember it, they're ready. They get the sense that this is something different in the state of Texas.
Wow.
And I have to say, you're a baseball guy too. With what happened with Sloss, it's got to give even more juice to it.
Oh man, yeah, true. Yeah. Hey, here's a funny thing. I had a family reunion in Dime Box this past weekend, and one of the guys, we have an auction. It's a huge family reunion. 200 people were there. One of the auction items that helped was a signed A&M bat by the most recent team, and one of my old cousins who was going to bid on the bat said, "Is Schwarzenegger on that?" On that bat, they just said, "Yeah, okay, I'm not bidding on that." I said, "You could probably rub the name off. You got a couple of first rounders on that." And he said, "He chose wrong." And so that was just another example of this rivalry. Yeah, but boy, talk about stoking the flames. 2 best years in Texas A&M baseball history, and then that coach leaves for
Texas
for the rival.
So we know the ceiling for Texas. I mean, we think we know the ceiling for Texas. Playoffs, national championship, maybe 10, 11 wins. What's that ceiling for Texas A&M?
I think it's right there in that mix. They have an advantageous schedule this first year. I'm kind of more along the lines of an 8-4 and everything would probably be considered a good year. But yeah, with the right breaks, they go to Florida early on. You're going to get a pretty good test in week 3. Of course, talking about good tests, they open with Notre Dame. With the storylines, at least that one's at Kyle Field for the Aggies. But here's Mike Elko facing the program he'd left for A&M.
That's
the
right.
First
He left
time,
Notre Dame,
and also facing his old quarterback as well. So some storylines there. But in terms of the ceiling, I mean, I think based on what we talked about with his discipline, he inherited. Hey, Jimbo Fisher recruited great there, and they still have a lot of those guys. NIL is a big thing. They could be right there in the mix with the right breaks. But I'm kind of more along the lines of about an 8-4, and then going from there.
Yeah, no doubt. And with Mike Elko, I've said all week and really for the last month, I think it's the most under the radar hire because it kind of reminds me when R.C. Slocum took over the team. He was the defensive coordinator at A&M, and he had such a great run there, and he's so revered by the fans. Elko, I know he was only there a short time, but it kind of has the same feel to me where not a lot of people we were wondering how good RC would be, and he had a really good run. And the same thing could happen with Elko.
It's funny with Elko because for the first time in decades, when I first started covering the Aggies in 1995, the Wrecking Crew was a big thing.
Oh, huge. Quentin Corey,
Dat Win and all those things. Really, truly, for the first time, I started kind of referencing the Wrecking Crew again because for the first time in years, you were starting to see the A&M defense back among the top 10 in the rankings and so forth, and total defense, scoring defense, those type things. And I'm like, wow, this hasn't happened in a couple of decades. Right. And it goes back to who you were talking about, R.C. Slocum. Suddenly that Wrecking Crew defense was back. A&M was hanging its hat on defense, and then Mike Elko got an opportunity he couldn't pass up, and no one can blame him to go be a head coach. There was a thought that maybe he'll be back at some point. I don't think they expected it that quick because obviously Jimbo had that great 2020 season. That number 4 finish was their highest since 1939, which is really hard to believe. But things tailed off in a hurry when Mike Elko left and Jimbo was left kind of to run the show by himself.
I got to the expansion talk. And 3 years ago we had the Texas-Oklahoma thing. What did you think of Greg Sankey's comments about I'm happy at 16, we're at 16, we don't need to be entangled in lawsuits, we don't need to expand?
Well, I remember Greg Sankey 3 years ago saying that they were, okay at 14 as well. So I think it's one of those things where when Texas and Oklahoma came along, you can't pass those up. Anyone with the brain realized, hey, you've got to add these two, the two bell cows of the Big 12 and go from there. I do think if the right opportunity came along, he's obviously going to explore those. But for now, he's saying the right things in terms of saying they're happy at 16. And what is the Big 10 at now? It's going to be at 18, correct? Yeah. So keeping up with the Joneses there, you might add a couple more. But I do think for now, based on this addition and everything around it, that he probably is happy at 16 with the idea of keeping his options open moving forward. Finally getting those 2 big super conferences that we've talked about now for years.
Brent Zwerneman, Houston Chronicle. My final question, you're so well connected with the Aggies. Ross Bjork moves on to Ohio State. What's the initial feeling on Trev Alberts so far?
Yeah, one of the things I figured out pretty quick is he did not mind coming in as an outsider and kind of making some I'm not going to say necessary. What A&M thinks are some necessary cuts to the budget, which meant sometimes, eliminating some of the folks who had been there for a long time and so forth. As an outsider and as a guy who is not, he's not worried about what people think of him there, if that makes sense. Yep. As an outsider, he's a big, strong, tough dude. And he came in there and right away he said, okay, these jobs have got to go, and here's where we need some cuts, and he has made no bones about it that there may be some more cuts coming and so forth in terms of trying to save some money and get it to where they come up with that extra $22 million they're going to need to start paying athletes as well at some point, probably.
No doubt. Well, Brent, great job. Yes. You're one of the best in the business. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Drew Scott, I appreciate it, and thanks for coming to my state for this.
Hey,
can I be honest? I miss Hoover. I liked Hoover.
Yeah,
I like that whole setup.
But I'll tell you this. Thank you for letting us come here because, man, we have had some fantastic food.
Awesome, yes.
I'm not going to lie. The drive was okay.
Yeah.
But the food, since we have arrived here in Dallas, has been spectacular.
Hey, I'm a Houston guy through and through, but I got to hand it to the Big D, man. They do things right up here as well.
They do.
We've tried a little bit of everything. We've gone the barbecue route. We've had the Tex-Mex route.
Pizza.
And we did the pizza. I mean, we've tried to cover every base we could.
Dallas does it right.
Oh, they do. Thank you, Brent. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
All right. Man, that has been a fantastic and a fast-moving 2 hours. In case you missed it, we've had Kalen DeBoer. We had him
Brooks
live.
Austin.
We've had Brooks Austin, Mike Griffith, Ryan Fowler, Brent Zwerneman.
Spectacular show.
What else could we do?
I'll quote Hannibal Smith. I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah, this wasn't even a plan.
Well,
you did a fantastic job. You put a lot of the plan together today. Bryant Bank is the reason why we're here. Our good friends at Bryant Bank helping make day 3 of the SEC Media Days possible. In case you missed anything, in case you missed the Kalen DeBoer interview, make sure you stay with 97.7 ESPN The Zone, the Tom Abraham Show, The Drive. You will see clips and you will be able to hear the interview that we had with the Alabama head coach. It's been a fantastic day. We will wrap it all up tomorrow from SEC Media Days. Arkansas, Texas A&M, Auburn, and Kentucky will wrap everything up. And, oh, my gosh, Greg Sankey literally said yesterday, I am putting Kentucky last because I don't like them.
Don't do that.
I'm sorry. He did not.
Good Lord, he'll run off the road.
Oh, what a day it's been.
And you need a partner who knows how to make your plans come together. Samples Properties can guide you through all the legal, financial, and regulatory hurdles. And if you just need office space to start or grow your business, Samples Properties is the call you need to make. Go to samplesproperties.com to see the impressive list of clients that have profited from the knowledge and integrity of Samples Properties. For commercial real estate development and consultation, trust your business to Samples Properties, with offices on Madison Street in downtown Huntsville. Samplesproperties.com.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well-trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
At Wheelchairs for Warriors, serving America's heroes is our mission. With your support, we serve veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty across the United States of America, providing them custom fit, complex rehab mobility solutions to ensure they rejoin their lives at the highest level of independent mobility and function possible. Join the mission at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Gabe Nutchley for Greeny today, hanging out with Hembo, ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. And Hembo, I am so glad.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel and Twitch. Just search 97.7 ESPN. We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to the Morning Blitz with John Abraham, Captain Cool, and the Bandy Man Bailey Lowry. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Captain Cool.
The Morning Blitz here on 97.7 ESPN Zone. John is over there live at SEC Media Days over in Dallas, and we're just probably like a minute away here from Kalen DeBoer taking the podium, looking to get connected with John. See if he's over there. So it looks like we're still trying to get connected with John over in Dallas. But again, just minutes away from new Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer taking the podium over at SEC Media Days. He's going to be previewing really what's going to be going on over with the Crimson Tide heading into this season. A lot of, I would say, enthusiasm around this program. I mean, #1 recruiting class of 2025, heading into 2024, looking like a top 3 recruiting class. And I mean, right now, just really picking off where Nick Saban left off. So we're still trying to get connected over with John over in Dallas. Welcome to Wednesday in Dallas. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a brief timeout. We're going to try to get reconnected over there in Dallas, and we will be right back with hopefully Kalen DeBoer taking the podium. So do not go anywhere. You are listening to SEC Media Days over on 97.7 ESPN.
3 of the 4 head coaches who led teams in the college football playoff semifinals last year. I don't think that's ever happened between Coach Saban, Coach DeBoer, and Coach Sarkisian. You'll see 3 of the 4. Coach Harbaugh didn't want to come to media days, apparently, in the SEC. Kalen DeBoer is entering his first season as the head coach at the University of Alabama, and his 9 seasons as a head coach. He has an overall record of 104 victories and 12 losses, which includes a 25-3 with Washington and 3 NAIA national championships at 2
looking forward to that. So, they understand that there was a gap that needed to be closed early on. And I say that because anytime you institute and you're incorporating new strategies, whether it's offensively, defensively, special teams, along with just getting to know and building new relationships, there's a gap that you have to close because the programs that are continue to hit the ground running, continuing to kind of add to what they've done in the past because of their familiarity. They're in a place, and now I think we've closed that gap, and now the whole thing is focusing on separating ourselves. And this summer, just the focus, the commitment. I think if you asked our guys what they appreciate about each other right now is that they come in with a competitive mindset every single day, and I can see it. They have high goals and aspirations, but the actions support those goals that they each have. So they do it on the field, they do it off the field. I think they're just well-rounded team, a group of guys, academically, even in the spring, a 3.2 GPA. We had over 85. We had 85 of the 123 guys on our team have a 3.0 or higher. It just goes to show the focus and what type of people and players we have in our program. We return, I guess it depends on how you look at it, 5 starters on offense, 5 starters on defense, a couple specialists, and those guys are going to be certainly counted on. I think we've brought in some players to help add to, again, not just the depth, but also to build and have an elite level of starters on the football field for us when August 31st comes around. I think their mindset of just going 1-0 and winning the day is something that I preach to them, and they've taken on that challenge. They show up, put in the extra work. They try to, they understand that everyone's doing the same things. You just got to do it better and do it more often than those that we're going to be competing against throughout the season. Before I open up for questions, I do just want to say, I know I haven't seen Coach around here, but I do want to, first of all, congratulate Coach. I thought it was really cool winning the SB the other night, and got a chance to finally, it seemed like every time I got a chance to see the speech, it was just a little blurb. Got to see the whole thing, and just like always, there's something that we've always taken from those speeches, well-deserved with that honor. And then personally, and from, I think on behalf of everyone with Alabama football and the University of Alabama, we appreciate everything Coach has done to make this foundation strong to where we can continue to build on it, continue to help those that are supportive of our program proud, and just appreciate all those years and hard work that's been put into this. And so with that, I'll open up for questions.
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone to you. Grant, Kylie, or Edley, please state your name and affiliation if you have a question. We're going to start right here in the center, Grant, right here in the center. Just right, center section.
Coach DeBoer, Emily Grace McWhorter from The Next Round. Throughout this week, other SEC quarterbacks have had a chance to talk about your quarterback in Jalen Milro. And the consensus has been he's just a great guy on and off the field, and he has a great smile. For you, how does that impact you coaching this offense and this team to have someone that translates so well in the locker room?
Well, I think that's something that you see with Jalen, right? Is what he is, and I can just look back last week, a moment with our team, and not to get into the details, but him standing up and speaking out, and, positive, but also accountability, and that mix of everything that great leaders do, and, building up their teammates, but also just reminding them of what it's going to take for us to reach the goals that we have. He does a great job of balancing that. I think he's grown in a lot of ways when it comes in that area. But then obviously we got to talk about what he does on the football field, and he's got a skill set that is special. He can, with his arm, make you pay, and he can make the throws. And I think he's continued to grow in that area, building confidence in himself, just tirelessly working with the receiving core, actually all the skill players. To just be on the same page. I think he's he's continued to expand on his game with the different throws he can make. Down the field, he's been strong. A year ago, he was one of the best in the country with downfield throws. I think he's continued to work on those higher percentage throws that you need to have to move the chains and all of that. But, he dives into it. There's no one that's going to beat him into the football facility from a player's vantage point. He's there 4:30, 5 o'clock for sure, every single day. And I know there's guys that have tried to beat him into the facility and they can't. But when he's there, it isn't just punching in the clock. He's done a great job, being efficient, doing everything he can, whether it's mentally, physically, to be ready for this fall.
Coach, we're going to go over to our right-hand side, or to the right.
Over here. Shahan Jayaraj from CBS Sports. How you doing, Coach?
I'm good. Thank you.
So you brought a player here in Malachi Moore who has been kind of through everything since being on campus since 2020. How do you benefit from having this group of leaders that have been at Alabama, and how do you integrate some of the guys, for example, that you brought from Washington who know what you do?
Yeah, guys like Malachi, Jalen, Book, these guys are all guys that, of course, can get here today. But, they all understand, and Malachi, since you specifically brought up him, they understand what it's looked like. They understand what it takes. And it isn't just what it looks like and it needs to be done in the fall. This is the time where you build your team. And that work that they're putting in each and every day, a guy like Malachi is front and center. And I guess, I just think about, Malachi and very similar to Jalen. They love the game. They love the work that is associated with the game. And he brings a smile to it. He's determined. He's a beast on the football field, and he'll hit you with everything he's got. And he's helping grow a secondary around him that's got some youth. And he's taken that and put it on his shoulders. And I think he's excited about that. He knows he's one of the faces of the program and takes that responsibility in a strong way. But I think when you look at just people in general and how it all comes together with different transfers coming from different places. Obviously you look at the talent, right? But we have great kids, I shouldn't call them kids, great young men that have come into our program. And you alluded to the Washington players, the 4 of them that have come in. These are just standouts, not just on the football field, but just high-end character guys. They knew that they had to adapt to the things that Alabama represents and the football program. And I think I couldn't be more, because I did have a relationship with them, obviously, before coming here. I couldn't be more proud of the way they've approached everything and now stepping up as leaders themselves.
Which will go in the section right in front of me on the far out.
Good morning, Coach. Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama. You talked about Malachi Moore, but for Deontay Lawson, other guys that are in-state players from the state of Alabama, what did they teach you and show you when you first arrived about the standard and what it means to play to that and even coach to it?
Yeah, I actually took notes, and I still am taking notes, right? These guys have been here longer than I have. And, sometimes, we use the saying, you don't know what you don't know. And just trying to take it all in. We want to do things, of course, I want to do things the way I've done them in some aspects, but embracing what is important to this program, the traditions that have happened over many years. But I think just when it really comes down to this team, it's about the work that we're doing right now and listening to them and hearing them out. I think that's the best thing you can do when you come in as a new coach, is kind of meet them in the middle. And, we've worked together and they understand that, I want this team to be a team that ultimately is player led. Now, what does that mean? We've talked a lot about that. I'm going to provide the framework and the parameters and a lot of the organization that I feel has worked for me over many years. But, I also want them to have that buy-in and understand the why, not just what.
Okay, we'll stay in that same section in the center. Kirk.
Kirk Bowles from the Houston Chronicle. Kalen, I wonder how many coaches, friends, family told you it wasn't smart to follow a legend, and how much that entered into your thinking before you accepted?
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Understand, I mean, there's only one Coach Saban. There will only ever be one Coach Saban. And, this program is special. And I guess I just take it as a great honor to be the one that gets to do everything we can to carry on the great tradition. So much blood, sweat, and tears, whether it's the players and the alumni that have been in this program or coaches, and obviously referring to Coach Saban, so much is put into this place. We all have alma maters, right? We all have places that we have great pride in, and you always want that to be home. And we always want to make those people proud of their alma mater and the work that's been put in to set this program up for success. But for me personally, it was just more about just understanding that, coaching football is coaching football to some aspect, and you got to try to simplify it down as difficult and complicated as you can make it. I've done this for enough years and seen what good culture looks like, and maybe even what a culture that needs to improve on looks like. And it's been just an awesome blessing to be a part of this program, to continue to have that expectation on us. The alternative is to be at places where there aren't expectations. And, at some point there's been places where maybe a little bit of that has happened throughout my career. And this is a great place to be. I'm very blessed, very honored, and certainly acknowledge what you said. But we're just going to focus on this team and being the best we can be and continue to build on the great tradition of Alabama football.
Coach, we're going to go to our right on the very front row, just in the section in front of you to the right.
Yeah, Coach Brooks Austin with Dogs Daily. I think when you first got hired, one of the first questions was, how well will he be able to recruit in the Southeast? I think we've gotten a pretty immediate answer on that one. I'm curious what your thought processes are on how you define a great recruiter, and what your general thought processes are on player acquisition as a whole.
Yeah, I knew the intensity level that existed here in the SEC, and I think across college football it's just so competitive. But understand that it certainly is different, and I knew it was important for me to put the right people around me. As much as I can preach relationships and getting to know guys and feel like there's a way that I can get guys to feel that this is a program they want to be a part of. I understand that there's got to be familiarity with the region. There's got to be some familiarity with coaches to be able to get started and get off to a fast jump there, especially in these early months, because you're behind when you come in and it's the middle of January and you haven't even put a staff together, and all of a sudden it's the end of January and you got a week or two to hit the road. And this is the last time you can be on the road other than a little time in May, and by that time the official visits are all set up for June. We were behind, and so I had to have a staff that would work well together. I think it's all hands on deck with our staff. Those within the building would feel that, just kind of sharing that it's a team effort. But we also certainly have some guys and staff, on the field and off the field that just work relentlessly, every single day, just to build those relationships, to help us get guys to campus. And I think that's when we're at our best, because the culture of our team, as we have that energy within the building, when prospects do come onto campus, they see that this is something they want to be a part of. And so all that together has led to a lot of success here early on. Obviously it's an everyday thing, and so it never stops. But we certainly understand that, having the right guys in our program is all going to make us better coaches in a lot of ways.
Okay, we'll go in the center aisle, just straight ahead.
Yeah, Coach DeBoer, Drew DeArmond, WCCN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. Now that analysts can coach on the field in practice and in games, how big an addition is it for Chuck Morrill to be a part of the staff who helped you have a lot of on-field success defensively at Washington?
Yeah, no question. Chuck Morrill and I, we go back. We were actually teammates together and spent 10 years together at the University of Sioux Falls. He was the defense coordinator. I was the offensive coordinator starting out. Our relationship, when it comes to just how close we are, just the trust we have in each other. He's a guy that's just as loyal as it gets. Did a great job for us at Washington the last 2 years. And coming in, he and Kane Womack have just really worked so well together. I know the role has been as an analyst and a coordinator. We have other members that are on the on-field staff that are critical to our scheme and development and growth of our defensive side of the ball. But just another great voice, a guy that knows ball inside and out. And I'll put him up there as one of the best. If he was a coordinator, when he was a coordinator last year, the best in the country. And to have that luxury now with so many great coaches in our program, it's an awesome thing.
Which will go straight in front of me, middle section, third row. Barry.
Yeah, Kalen, Barry Trammell with the Tulsa World. Related to the recruiting question, the only hole in your resume is you've never coached south of Carbondale, Illinois. What's it been like adjusting to the culture change? Or maybe there's not a culture change. Maybe it's Sioux Falls South. I don't know. But what have you had to do to adjust to a new region of the country, new culture, football culture, Southern culture, all those things?
I've sweat a lot more. It's hot. I think first of all and foremost, I think people are always what make places, right? And I've lived in a lot of different places around the country, from the Northwest to over by Detroit and the Midwest and South Dakota to Fresno, California, and obviously Carbondale, and now, here in Tuscaloosa. And I think people are always what make the place. And there are just so many great people in Tuscaloosa, and obviously they're passionate about their football. It's really made this transition smooth and enjoyable. It probably is, with close to being the place that reminds me the most of, honestly, being back in South Dakota. Just the people, not necessarily, somewhat, I guess, just the geography. There's no coastline, I guess, up in South Dakota, but there's a lot of just great things that are similar to what feels like home.
Which we'll go over to our far right, over to the right in the front row.
Coach, good morning. Ken Capps from Football Writers Association of America. And first of all, congratulations on winning the Football Writers 2023 Coach of the Year Award. We enjoyed giving that to you down in Houston last year before the Sugar Bowl. And of course, then a few weeks later, you're down in Alabama. In the last 6 months, what has surprised you about going to Alabama and Tuscaloosa, and anything that you didn't anticipate that you've seen since you've been down there?
I think I should never be surprised at the things that great programs do and have, and the culture that exists. But what really has been awesome to see, and again, this isn't necessarily a surprise, but it's been awesome just to see our guys be completely 100% focused on the main things, and their chemistry and their trust and belief is one thing, but I think, and the accountability as well. But I think that the way they respect each other, you could see it in spring ball. And as much as I try to do a great job of laying out the tempos of practice and how we need to be aggressive and play the game the way it needs to be played, but also, hey, we got to protect each other. We need each other. I know I needed to say those things. I wanted to say those things, and it's important to me. But I think they understood that. And that's, again, a credit to Coach Saban and everyone that's coached in the program before, and the culture that existed even before I got here. But these guys, they know they need each other to reach the goals that we have as a program. And then I think they also really respect the goals that they have each individually of, whether it's being the greatest college football player you can be, or, moving on and putting yourself in a good spot to move on to the NFL. And so, again, not a surprise, but something that just I have a lot of appreciation for. And it was an awesome spring. And I really think that all 15 practices, we maximized and got the most out of all 15 of those from start to finish.
We have time for a couple more. We'll start over here in front of you to the right, in middle section.
Coach, Rob Brown, SEC Sidelines Sports Network in Memphis. First off, I'll say we've hunted for years in Chamberlain and Iroquois and Kimball, South Dakota. Every one of those people up there were SEC. They knew the SEC very well. They love college football. How much is your background in D2, D3, driving the bus and doing everything from the ground up? You're the guy you're replacing, Nick Saban. talks so fondly about the work ethic he learned up in Monongahela, West Virginia with his dad. Talk about who you are and how that made you what you are.
Yeah, I love how the stories get better and better of all the responsibilities I had. I did not drive the bus, but you know, that's what the stories and the legends will be down the road, right? And so I think I know this. I would not trade my journey for anything. It gives me an appreciation for where I'm at. It gives me an appreciation for the people I have around me and all the jobs that they have, because you know, there was a time where you weren't driving I wasn't driving the bus, but I was, working with equipment and doing things in the locker room, pretty much a GA, an offensive coordinator and a head coach all at the same time. And so I think there's again, just an appreciation I have for everyone when you have the support systems that you have at this level. And I understand their roles and how important and valuable they are and making them feel a part of it. And it allows me to really focus on things I really love to do, and that's build these relationships with these guys and dive into the football and coach these guys up and help them be the best they can be. And there's just a little bit more in those areas that I get to focus on. So yeah, it's a work ethic related thing as well, but it's an appreciation piece as much as anything.
We'll take one final question in the section in front of me on the aisle.
Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. Kalen, I think it's pretty well documented how different you and Nick are, but what's the area that you think that you two are the most similar?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard it from our guys. I know Coach Saban just poured into these guys. He loved them and believed in them. I mean, he pushed them to be their best. And I think you always look at, every coach is different, right? We all have different personalities. We all go, have our styles. And especially when you've been doing it for a while, in this profession, you kind of have the things that you really like to do and favor. But in the end, the most important things, I think a lot of those are probably pretty similar more than they're different. Pouring into the guys and helping them and pushing them to be their best, holding them accountable and expecting a high level of discipline, while also trying to build a brotherhood and a family that exists through great team chemistry to be great on the football field when it matters most.
Coach, thank you for your time this morning.
Awesome. Thank you. Roll Tide.
That was Coach Kalen DeBoer in his first SEC Media Days. We're going to hop into a break. When we get back, the Morning Blitz, John Abraham, Cap Cool, the Bandy Man, and Drew D. Armand. After this break here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Blackout, call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling sluggish? Gentlemen, Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health is here to help you. Braden is here. Braden, you've got the answers.
Thanks, Scott. Whether it's OT, erectile dysfunction, weight loss, or a number of other things, we have a solution for them.
It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call today at
256-850-1570.
You can find them online.
GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Hey, what man wouldn't like to have tests done in a man cave?
That's right. Come in for your free test and consultation. Walk into a world-class staff, a comfortable, relaxed environment, and we got your results in about 20 minutes with appointments less than an hour.
And the big game is always on the TV. It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call.
256-850-1570.
can find them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com/Huntsville/The Zone.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked the reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process for roofing restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSB.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-90s. Isolated to widely scattered showers and thunderstorms are again going to be possible across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. It looks like a cold front is going to move through the area as we head into the overnight, early into Thursday morning. During that time frame, we could get some isolated, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms. That activity is going to stick with us through Thursday afternoon. It is going to be much cooler on Thursday. Temperatures only climbing into the mid and upper 80s, dropping into the mid-60s as we head into the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
College football.
The ball is caught. It is a touchdown.
Major League Baseball.
That ball is gone. A home run.
This is your place for complete sports coverage all year long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hello and welcome back in to SEC Media Days. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside Drew DeArmond here on the morning of Blitz. And Drew, we've had a lot of fun so far. We just had to hear from Coach Kalen DeBoer, his first annual SEC Media Days. Talk about the mannerisms, talk about the way he was able to answer questions, talk about kind of the feeling that he's given us from his first time up at the podium.
Well, I just thought he was very comfortable in his own skin, no question about it, John. I think he's always been, I think, his own man. And I think if you're going to try to fill the shoes of Nick Saban, that's what you've got to be. You've got to be yourself. Be very confident in your approach. Be very confident in the staff you're putting together, and your belief and your core values. And I think, and to have, especially in this day of the NIL and transfer portal, you have to put good people around you that will help you build a roster, and you have to build trust with the players, and you have to win them over quickly because as you know, change breeds a lot of can bring within just a day or two, so many people leaving the program. And I thought one of the biggest things where you could tell that Kalen DeBoer had won over the complete trust of this roster was a guy that bounces back like Caden Proctor, who's going to be the left tackle. He leaves, realizes after a couple months, hey, I made a mistake, and I'm still tight with a lot of these guys. But look, as he said during the press conference, when we get kids on campus and we sell our culture and our environment, it wins a lot of people over. Well, he won those players over. Will Conformity, who he brought up as a big key to the offensive line, a redshirt freshman offensive tackle, was really good friends with Caden Proctor, and he recruited him back to the University of Alabama. It is what it is, because these guys talk, and if the players had any hesitancy about DeBoer and the coaching staff, look, guy, that's the way you have a transition that's not smooth. That's the way a Zach Arnett can blow up and end up being a one and done like he was at Mississippi State, because he made some tactical errors. Maybe didn't have the trust of the players, but so far he won the trust of those student athletes really quickly, and that got Caden Proctor back. He got Ryan Williams recommitted because he decommitted the minute Nick Saban retired within an hour, but he had him on campus for their first team meeting. He went on an official visit shortly thereafter, and then we know what happened. He ended up signing with the University of Alabama in February. He's enrolled in June, and he's going to be a big factor this year. He was the number one player in the state the minute he reclassified. He's the best football player to come out of the state of Alabama since Julio Jones, and Julio was a big part of Nick Saban's rebuild of Alabama football. And I think when you look back on it, hopefully in another decade, Ryan Williams will have the same impact. But again, Kalen DeBoer gaining trust and being able to communicate so well and putting together a great staff has been huge.
No doubt about that. And I do like the way that you guys were able to talk to him. It was almost like the easiest coach to get because they were here so early. They were walking around. He was able to sit down with you guys for 7 minutes over on Talking Ball, and you guys got a great interview in. He seemed calm. He did seem like his own man, and I agree with you on that. He doesn't need to be the next Nick Saban, okay? He just needs to be who he is. And, of course, what he's done so far has definitely shown that what he's got now is definitely going to give him the ammunition to succeed, especially in this SEC, despite, well, it being the most challenging league in, I would say, all of college football.
Yeah, it's very challenging, no doubt about it. But, you know, if you want to climb the ladder and be considered the best in your profession, you have to compete against the best. That's what it's about in the SEC. And certainly he's been very strategic in the way he's climbed up the ladder in the coaching profession. He had options besides coming to Alabama. He could have gone back to Washington for $9 million a year and certainly would be in the Big Ten now instead of the Pac-12. He'd be trying to win the Big Ten. But I think he knew that the best way to find out inside info in coaching is to talk to other coaches.
Yeah.
That's the way, because they, the stuff starts to work, because people, they communicate, agents communicate, so much of that buzz starts growing, and it started growing at the middle of last year with Coach Saban. He knew about it, I'm sure, through his agent. Jimmy Sexton had been hired by him in the recent past, and so he knew if there was a chance the job could come open. So keep your options open. You certainly were happy at Washington. You're happy with what you're building. Your daughter's going to play softball there, but it's the University of Alabama. So if you have a chance to go to Camelot, which is, number one, then you take that opportunity. Timing is everything.
Yeah.
And everything lined up and being aligned, from a university standpoint, academically and athletically, with Stuart Bell, the president, Greg Byrne, the athletic director, who I think is the best in the country. And then, having the success of the rest of the athletic department to look at, Patrick Murphy, hiring Rob Vaughn in baseball, doing what Nate Oates is doing, reaching the Final Four. The track program under Dan Waters is much, much better. You just look at all that, Christy Curry, boom. So it just everything lined up, and Kalen DeBoer coming to Tuscaloosa, I think, is going to turn out to be a great move.
No doubt about that. And I think it's a perfect transition for the Crimson Tide because they're getting a coach that has coaching experience, but it is a little bit newer coaching experience. Since all of this stuff has kind of started changing, he's already understanding that NIL, the transfer portal, it is a part of this game. He was thrown right into it. Now we get to look at what the schedule is going to be, when his first challenge is going to be, and I believe it's going to be in Week 5 against this Georgia team. But talk about what we're going to see in these what we need to see in these first 3 games against, of course, Western Kentucky. They're going to play USF, which we know what happened last year. It was a very close, disappointing game, but Alabama still got the win. And then Wisconsin.
That's a dangerous one, though.
That's a dangerous one. What do we need to see in those first 3 games leading up to Georgia?
You need to see growth from Jalen Milro and comfortability in this offense, because last year he was a big play threat. He threw the ball vertically down the field, and he used his legs, and when he did, he was a big play guy. And when he finally got comfortable midway point through the last season of being a runner and a willing one, but he struggled a little bit at times with a short to intermediate passing game. He would be hot and cold. He would either be on or he would either be way off. Yep. And so the offense, there was not a lot of rhythm to it. I do think that's what you're going to have to see from him, because Kalen DeBoer, it's a timing-based system. He's still going to take shots down the field, but the short to intermediate passes, you got to be able to throw the ball over the middle of the field consistently, hit guys where they can do something with the football, on the run, on the move. And then he has to continue to be a willing runner because he's a freakazoid athletically. He's 6'2", 225 pounds, and he runs under a 4.40. I mean, this is a guy that can go 80 yards in a straight line. So he's a tough guy because he took hits. I mean, hopefully he's going to be more comfortable in the pocket this year. Hopefully he won't take as many sacks and as many hits because I think over 2/3 of the sacks, he would even tell you he hung on to the ball too long. But there's no replacing experience because he had virtually none. Only one start coming into last year. So he now has a whole year under his belt. He made a great decision because in this NIL era, he could have gone to other places and made a lot of money and been a starting quarterback. But he looked at Michael Penix and the Heisman candidate season he had in the career at Washington. He looked at him going in the first round of the Atlanta Falcons. And, look, this guy is a quarterback whisperer. He develops QBs. He can help me get to that next level because he has all the physical tools. It's all about the neck up for Jalen Milro. If he learns how to process better. And the thing about Jalen, he's got a great personality. People follow him. He's a team captain last year. And you heard Kalen DeBoer in there say he's in the building at 4:00 every day. He's not letting other people outwork him, man. So he's grinding, and it's not just being there. He's working on it. He's working on his game. He just came to Huntsville for that great kids camp with Westminster. So he loves to be around people, but his teammates love him. And so but now he has to go get the fruits of his labor. He has to go out and play and show the NFL that he's a true pro prospect. And that's why he stayed in Tuscaloosa. And if he has an all SEC type season, I think it means a couple things. One, Alabama's in the playoff and contending for an SEC championship too. And then two, he's a Heisman candidate and very, very likely a top 3-round draft pick, which I know that's another reason he came back. He didn't have the feedback he needed, and he needs more reps. He needs more time, and he needs to play for a coach like Kalen DeBoer, who's churned out great quarterbacks on the NAIA level, on the Division I level as far as Group of 5, and then and also 1AA and FCS, and now on the Power 5 level.
Yeah, Coach Kalen DeBoer definitely understands the sport. He's been around it practically all his life. Drudy Armand on with us here live at SEC Media Days in Dallas, Texas, and kind of looking at the rest of this squad that Alabama is going to be returning, some of the guys that are actually in the building today. Drew, what are you looking forward to? Who are you looking forward to talking to? What questions are you going to have for some of these players that are here today?
Well, I'd love to catch up with Jalen Milro and talk about his process and all the work he's been putting in and what he thought he needed to improve on after putting pelts on the wall and getting such an invaluable year of experience as a starting quarterback. What's he learning from Nick Sheridan? What's he learning from Kalen DeBoer? Even Jamarcus Shepard, those kind of guys. How are they're investing time in him? What's he taking from all this? And then Tyler Booker. I mean, the relationship he built with the staff so quickly. He's been a leader since he was a freshman. To ask him about the progress of this offensive line, ask him about his good friend Wilkin Formby being bigger than Lane Johnson. They did all, and ask him about working over here in Dallas for the O-line guru over here at the academy he has, getting better, investing some of his NIL money into himself and getting better at his craft. And then Malachi Moore, the old man. I mean, he's the guy that's played the most football on this defense. He's a guy that's played a ton of football since his freshman year of 2020 when he won the nickel job over a pretty damn good football player, Brian Branch, who's with a really good player with the Detroit Lions. Now he's kind of transitioning, though, from that nickel role to safety. How is that coming along? And ask him about, Colin Hitchler, the new safeties coach, and Derek Lindquist, the new and then the new defensive staff as a whole. Chuck Morrell, who we just talked about we asked Coach DeBoer about, was the co-DC, really the DC at Washington. He comes in to Alabama as an analyst, but now he can coach on the field. So it's like having another defensive coordinator. Just ask him about Kane Womack and this defensive staff and how this defense is going to perform at Alabama this year. Still the same kind of 4-2-5 concepts, but maybe more aggression, a little bit of different way to put the puzzle together. But we'd just love to hopefully get a chance to talk to these guys.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Now, going outside of Alabama, of course, we've already gone through 8 teams throughout the week, now 9 with Alabama, of course, now walking through Media Row. But talk about the coaches that have impressed you and talk about the ones that seem legit and the ones that might be throwing a little bit of smoke our way.
Well, I mean, I was just really impressed with Elijah Drinkwitz and what he's done at Missouri. I think he's a rising star in the profession. They took a huge jump last year and have a great chance to continue to build on that this year. No question about it. I didn't get a chance to hear from Josh Heupel. I was doing some other radio stuff, but he's going to be going into a really interesting year 4 at Tennessee. I mean, he's going to have Nico Iamaleava, a quarterback that he recruited, that he developed. And so I'm going to be really interested to see how good they are and if they can make progress defensively. They've got a deep defensive line, but they continue to struggle kind of in the back end. And then I'll say this: Kirby Smart seemed very comfortable. I think he knows, he's the guy now in this league. Now he's not guaranteed anything, but he's earned his mark in his 9th year. He's not the dean of coaches like Mark Stoops, but he's got 2 national championships. He was coming off a 29-game winning streak. Didn't finish like he wanted last year because they lost to Alabama. But I think he understands he's got a great roster and a great football team. And so just I think he's in a very, very, kind of comfortable space too. And I'm looking forward to seeing his team compete. No doubt. And I think Brent Venables, I had a chance to listen to some of his press conference yesterday. He understands that they're coming into the best league in college football. But Oklahoma, people have to understand that's a tradition-rich program. I know Texas is getting most of the buzz, but OU is a great program in their own right. They have high expectations. They believe they can compete at the highest level. And I think when you look at OU, I don't know quite where to put them yet in that 6, 7, and 8 range, but you look at it, that game that they got early against Tennessee, that's going to decide to me which one of those 2 is a true college football playoff contender. And then Brian Kelly, year 3 at LSU, lost so many big-time players along with that offense, with the Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, and then Brian Thomas. So many really good players. Lost a couple of running backs to the portal. But I think they're still going to be really good. The question is, though, Blake Baker coming over from Missouri as a defensive coordinator, Bo Davis, who should be in Crimson, in my opinion. He should be the Alabama's defensive line coach, but a great hire to get him back home to LSU, and Corey Raymond as well. How much better can that LSU defense get?
Lots of SEC coverage coming at you guys here from the Omni Hotel here in Dallas, Texas. Now, Drew, I feel like I got to get you fired up just a little bit, but I don't want to get you going crazy. All right. But we did have a dude come up to the table, and thankfully you weren't here at the time because I don't know what you would have done with these things that he gave me. I'm a little bit more lax with the rest of the SEC, but he handed me a few hats that I know you are probably never going to wear. We got a few Tennessee hats. How do you feel about that?
I don't think I'm going to touch that.
Okay, yeah.
I don't want to get cooties.
I want to go, when it comes to the orange and white, I got to say I'm going to go to Texas, and I'm going to say with their first year in the SEC.
But those are Tennessee, right?
Those are Tennessee, but I don't want to talk about Tennessee too much.
I can't believe the guy wasted his money. I feel bad.
No, I mean, I'll probably give him to a friend or two up in Winchester.
Yeah, you got some friends that are Tennessee fans.
Yeah, we're going to be up there,
you go.
over the weekend. But
it would be a waste if I had to set them on fire.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'd be an interesting video we could post. But I will say, Texas, Oklahoma, 2 new teams in the SEC. Honestly, couldn't have any other team that would be better, I would say, to add on to this mega league. But you look at their schedules and you kind of think, maybe if they flip-flopped them a little bit, Texas would have a kind of tougher time. Because you look at Texas' schedule and you got to admit that it's definitely the easiest schedule that you could throw at them in their first year in the SEC. Wouldn't you say so?
Well, I mean, I think Glenn Ellerby for Tennessee does a great job. I think he's underrated with what he does with the offensive line. That's one of the reasons they beat Alabama 2 years ago, is they were able to hold up in the trenches. No doubt. The Vols front has been really good. They're recruiting at a very high level now there again and putting together, I think a much better program, because when Josh Heupel got there, Tennessee was not in good shape. They had a lot of guys leave via the portal. They weren't extremely talented, but I think they've done a much better job recruiting. They had a really solid class this year. I think they've got a shot at the top 10, and I think Glenn Ellerby is, you could argue, he might be the best assistant coach on Josh Heupel's staff.
Well, Tennessee's going to have a rough time. They had a really good schedule. They have to go up against the other team in orange and white. On the other hand, hey, they play Michigan So, I mean,
we're going to find a lot out about both teams early in the season.
Yeah, I don't know if that's even going to be a competition. You look through the rest of the schedule, the hardest teams they're going to be playing: Oklahoma down in week 7, Georgia in week 8, and then you look down the rest of the list, and it might be a cakewalk for the Texas Longhorns. But who really knows? Because all these teams getting in these new players, new transfers, new recruits, all of that good stuff. But we got to hop out of here. If you're watching on WZZN TV, we will still be live. We might be getting some interviews throughout the day. But for the audio listeners, Chuck Oliver coming up next. You've been listening to the Morning Blitz live from SEC Media Days here in Dallas, Texas on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Yeah, they'll hear me on Chuck Oliver in about 12 minutes.
Points when Messi makes an assist during CONMEBOL Copa America USA 2024. Activate this offer starting June 20th, so when Messi assists, you score. Shop the day after an assist to earn those extra points. Not a MyLowe's Rewards member? Join for free today. Visit Lowe's.com/Messi for more details.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve. And we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Since 1986, Full Moon Barbecue has been cooking quality meats low and slow over a hickory wood-fired pit. From ribs and wings, brisket, turkey, catfish, and sausage to the best butts in town. If you're planning a holiday or a birthday party, Full Moon has a large banquet room. And Full Moon is ready for your next catering or tailgate. Just call us and we'll take care of everything. 256-713-0070. Full Moon Barbecue on the Parkway next to Costco. The best little pork house in Alabama.
1 in 3 adults in America have prediabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Years 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mom my. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
For all our video watchers, we're going to hop out of here. We'll open up another video later on throughout the day. Talking ball, guys, we'll be back.